flamingos in a fruit fight. Every color of day, whirling around at night. I'm playing this music so the young girls will come out to meet the monster tonight. Tropical hot dog night, like two flamingos in a fruit fight. I don't want to know about wrong or right. I don't want to know. I'm anywhere tonight. Tropical hot dog night, like two flamingos in a fruit fight.
Well, there goes the neighborhood. Welcome, everybody. Welcome on this Saturday morning, October 22nd, 2011, to Dave's Gone By, a show that has been around since October of 2002. So we're well into our 10th season now. Unbelievable. Started in New York all those years ago, been at the University of Northern Colorado for the past 2 years, and having an absolutely wonderful time every Saturday morning from 10 until 1 in the afternoon. And, I say this every time, all hosts, from, Jack Parr to David Letterman, to, Jay Leno, anybody. And the guy on the 700 Club says, we have a great packed show for you today. But I really mean it, usually every time I say it. And I certainly mean it this particular morning. Listen to what we have lined up for you on Dave's Gone By. First of all, we have two guests, and they're both in the cabaret and popular music field, but from a jazzy theater perspective. One of them is an English singer, songstress, who has discovered her niche not in the usual cabaret stuff of Rodgers and Hart and Frank Lesser and people, Sammy Cahn. Not that there's anything at all wrong with that, and there's wonderful things in traditional cabaret, but she found her niche in the music that I really grew up with, the singer-songwriters of the 60s and 70s, and the 50s too, the Jacques Brels and the Simon & Garfunkels, and most importantly, and most recently, Barb Jungr has really gotten into Bob Dylan. She's released 2 CDs that are almost exclusively, if not exclusively, his material. And now she has a cabaret show that she's doing in New York, based on Bob Dylan music. It's gotten unbelievable rave reviews. I'll read a little bit from them later on in the New York trades. So Barb Jungr is going to be with us in the neighborhood talking about Bob Dylan, about her cabaret show, about her kind of music, and her career. Should be a lot of fun. And, of course, we're going to play Barb Jungr's versions of a few Bob Dylan songs. It'll kind of take the place of our usual Bob Dylan Sooner and Later segment, where we play a half dozen Bob Dylan tunes by the man himself. These will be all covers by her as we welcome her into the neighborhood in about 25 minutes. Also, another guest on this episode is someone who was here back in 2007. He's done Broadway, off-Broadway, and now he's definitely concentrating on cabaret. His latest show really plays to his greatest strength, and that is the songs of Jerry Herman. Herman, of course, the composer of such classic Broadway musicals as Hello Dolly and La Cage aux Folles. He also did Mac and Mabel and the Grand Tour, Milk and Honey. And there's something about the bubbliness and optimism of Jerry Herman's music and his outlook on life that just jibes with the kind of singing that Jason Graae does. Jason Graae has this twinkly, sort of charming presence, and it works so beautifully for so much of what Jerry Herman writes. And so, Jason will be stopping in once again to the neighborhood to talk about his new show. He's gotten rave reviews for that, called Perfect Harmony, Yes, I know. I'm not the only one who does horrible puns in this world. Perfect Harmony is a cabaret show that Jason is doing. Let's see, where is that? It is at the Laurie Beachman Theater in the West Bank Cafe in New York through October 25th. So a couple more days to catch it. He also has a new CD called Perfect Harmony based on the show. So Jason will be here. Barb Jungr will be here. We will also be going inside Broadway because I just got back from New York. I was there for about a week, catching as much theater as I could, just checking in with the scene over there. Saw 11 shows in 6.5 days. So really made it my business to check the stuff out. And I'll be talking about 2 of those shows on Inside Broadway this morning on Dave's Gone By. One of them is the revival of Stephen Sondheim and William Goldman's Follies, one of the major works in the Sondheim canon. They did a Broadway revival of it just a couple of years ago, and it was terrible. Did they do better this time? Did they find the clue, the way to make Follies really sing and work? And hey, it's got some amazing people in it. Bernadette Peters, Jan Maxwell, pretty hoity-toity cast. Jane Hootie is in there, Ron Raines. We'll be talking about Follies on Inside Broadway, as well as a little off-Broadway show called Intringulis, which tells of the true story of a young man's immigration to America, not quite so legally, and how he lived both under and over the radar for many, many years until becoming a citizen. Really, really interesting stuff. So, Follies, Intringulis on Inside Broadway. And we will also start our Saturday Segue, which is going to be dedicated, unfortunately, to 2 people whom the music world lost over the last couple of weeks while I was on vacation. One of them is Bert Jansch, a folk songwriter, singer, and really terrific guitarist, maybe best known for his work with the folk group called the Pentangle, but really he spent most of his career doing solo and also performing with other people, and had an influence on everyone from Led Zeppelin to Beth Orton. Bert Jansch, who died just a few days ago, as well as Indian legend Jagjit Singh, really not so well known outside Indian and Ghazal circles, but I did almost a whole show on him many, many years ago when I went to see him perform live in New Jersey. And just, some of his music is really, really beautiful. Some of it is a little too traditional for my taste and goes on a bit, but others of it is just crossover enough to really be listenable and great. And I'm going to play a bit of Jagjit Singh and Bert Jansch on this episode of Dave's Gone By. So there you go, huh? I told you, quite an episode. Barb Jungr, Jason Graae, Inside Broadway, Jansch and Singh. Sorry about that pun, ladies and gentlemen. Well, let us get to some Barb Jungr, because she'll be with us in just about 20 minutes. Here's a really cool version. I don't like all of her adaptations of the Bob Dylan songs. I have to say that. I think some of them are pushing the envelope. They're kind of taking songs that really worked one way and giving them a whole new spin that just feels kind of overlaid and saddled onto it. But this version of Things Have Changed, I like very much. It's got a tango-y feel, and it's got a real sense of sprightliness and humor. It's from her CD, Every Grain of Sand. Barb Jungr sings Bob Dylan. Here she sings Things Have Changed.
Worried man with a worried mind, no one in front of me and nothing behind. There's a woman on my lap and she's drinking champagne. Got white skin, got assassin's eyes. I'm looking up into the sapphire-tinted skies. I'm well-dressed, waiting on the last train. Standing on the gallows with my head in a noose. Any minute now I'm expecting all hell to break loose. People are crazy and tight, I'm out of range. I used to care, but things have changed. This place ain't doing me any good. I'm in the wrong town. I should be in Hollywood. Just for a second there, I thought I saw something move. Gonna take dancing lessons to the jitterbug rag. Ain't no shortcuts, gonna dress in drag. Only a fool here would think he's got anything to prove. A lot of water under the bridge, a lot of other stuff too. Don't get up, gentlemen, I'm only passing through. People are crazy and times are strange. I'm locked in tight, I'm out of range. I used to care, but things have changed. 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 I've been walking 40 miles of that road. If the Bible is right, the world will explode. I've been trying to get as far away from myself as I can. Some things are too hard to touch. The human mind can only stand so much. You can't win with a losing hand. Feel like falling in love with the first woman I meet. Putting her in a wheelbarrow and wheeling her down the street. People are crazy and times are strange. I'm locked in tight, I'm out of range. I used to care, but things have changed. Just don't show it. You can hurt someone and not even know it. The next 60 seconds could be like an eternity. Gonna get low down, gonna fly high. All the truth in the world adds up to one big lie. I'm in love with a woman who don't even appeal to me. Mr. Jinx and Miss Lucy, they jumped in the lake. I'm not that eager to make a mistake. People are crazy and times are strange. I'm locked in tight, I'm out of range. I used to care, but things have changed. The sky when the children were babies and played on the beach. You came up behind me, I saw you go by. You were always so close and still within reach. Sarah, oh Sarah, whatever made you want to change your mind? Sarah, oh Sarah, so easy to look at, so hard to define. I can still see them playing with their pails in the sand. They run to the water, their buckets to fill. I can still see the shells falling out of their hands as they follow each other back up the hill. Sarah, oh Sarah, sweet virgin angel, sweet love of my life. Sarah, oh Sarah, radiant jewel, mystical wife. Sleeping in the woods by a fire in the night, drinking white rum in a Portugal bar. Them playing leapfrog and hearing about Snow White. You in the marketplace in Savannah, Lamar. Sarah, oh Sarah, it's all so clear I could never forget. Sarah, oh Sarah, loving you is one thing I'll never regret. I can still hear the sound of those Methodist bells. I'd taken the cure and had just gotten through, staying up for days in the Chelsea Hotel, writing sad-eyed lady of the lowlands for you. Sarah, oh Sarah, wherever we travel we're never apart. Sarah, oh Sarah, beautiful lady so dear to my heart. How did I meet you? I don't know. A messenger sent me in a tropical storm. You were there in the winter moonlight on the snow and on Lily Pond Lane when the weather was warm. Sarah, oh Sarah, Scorpio Sphinx in a calico dress. Sarah, oh Sarah, you must forgive me my unworthiness. Now the beach is deserted except for some kelp and a piece of an old ship that lies on the shore. You always responded when I needed your help. You gave me a map and a key to your door. Sarah, oh Sarah, glamorous nymph with an arrow and bow. Sarah, oh Sarah, don't ever leave me. Don't ever go. You must leave now, take what you need, you think will last. But whatever you wish to keep, you better grab it fast. He understands you're orphan with his gun, crying like a fire in the sun. Look out, the saints are coming through, and it's all over now, baby blue. The highway is for gamblers, better use your sense. Take what you have gathered from coincidence, the empty-handed painter from your streets is drawing crazy patterns on your sheet. The sky too is folding on you, and it's all over now, baby blue. All you seasick sailors, they are rowing home. Your empty-handed armies, they're all going home. The lover who just walked out your door has taken all his blankets from the floor. The carpet too is moving on you, and it's all over now, baby blue. Leave your stepping stones behind, something calls for you. Forget the dead you've left, they will not follow you. The vagabond who's rapping at your door is standing in the clothes that you once wore. Strike another match, go start anew, and it's all over now, baby blue. It's all over now, baby blue. It's all over now, baby I got my back to the sun, 'cause the light is so intense. I can see what everybody in the world is up against. Can't turn back, you can't come back. Sometimes we push too far. One day you'll open up your eyes, and you'll see where we are. Sugar baby, get on down the road. You ain't got no brains, no arm. You ain't ears without me. Might as well keep going now. Some of these bootleggers, they make pretty good stuff. places to hide things here. If you wanna hide 'em bad enough, I'm staying with Aunt Sally, but you know she's not really my aunt. Some of these memories you can learn to live with, and some of them you can't. Sugar baby, get on down the road. You ain't got no brains, no how. You and years without me might as well keep going now. Ladies down in Darktown, they're doing the Darktown strut. You always got to be prepared, but you never know for what. There ain't no limit to the amount of trouble women bring. Love is pleasing, love is teasing. Love's not an evil thing. Sugar baby, get on down the road. You ain't got no brains, no how. You and years without me might as well keep going now. Every moment of existence seems like some dirty trick. Happiness can come suddenly and leave just as quick. Any minute of the day, the bubble could burst. Try to make things better for someone. Sometimes you just end up making it 1,000 times worse. Sugar baby, get on down the road. You ain't got no brains, no how. You and your years without me might as well keep going now. Your charms have broken many a heart, and mine is surely one. You got a way of tearing the world apart, love. See what you've done. Just as sure as we're living, just as sure as you're born. Look up, seek your maker, for Gabriel blows his 'cause without me might as well keep going now.
Maybe my favorite Bob Dylan song of the past bunch of years, that's Sugar Baby, as performed by the one and only Barb Jungr. She is a cabaret artist, has been starting in London and really has been touring all over the place, but mostly America the last few years, and specializing in the kind of music that not all cabaret people do. When we think of cabaret performance and nightclub, we think of either people doing the American Songbook or show tunes and Rodgers and Hart, Rodgers and Hammerstein and Frank Lesser and those terrific people. But, you know, it was always kind of a disconnect, especially back when I first started going to theater and cabaret and wanting to hear more of the people that I grew up listening to. I was listening to Randy Newman and Neil Young and Bob Dylan and the Rolling Stones and Joni Mitchell and not hearing as much of that as I wanted to. So it's really great that Barb Jungr has taken that mantle up. I mean, a lot more people over the past few years have done that as well. But she really has made a real niche of singing that kind of music in a cabaret, somewhat jazzy sort of mode. And she's making a specialty of Bob Dylan, especially in her last two albums, Every Grain of Sand and the recently released Man in the Long Black Coat. Barb Jungr sings Bob Dylan, and she's also doing her show now at the Metropolitan Room through October 29th. That's on West 22nd Street in New York. This is what a couple of the critics had to say about Barb Jungr's current cabaret show. Frank Scheck, actually a good friend of mine who writes for the New York Post, wrote that Barb Jungr's revelatory show at the Metropolitan Room provides stunning, deeply personal renditions of 13 Dylan classics in which every word shines with crystal clarity. And no less than the New York Times cabaret critic Stephen Holden wrote, Barb Jungr, a fearless iconoclast who dives into the deepest waters of popular song to wrest exotic treasure from the ocean floor, delivering a fiery personal tutorial on Mr. Dylan. I mean, if Barb Jungr's publicist sat down and tried to write a review, they couldn't do a better job than the folks from the New York Post and the New York Times. So I congratulate Barb Jungr on these wonderful notices, and I welcome her to the Daverhood. Barb, are you with us?
Thank you very much indeed. I'm really enjoying singing these songs here, because I've been touring this particular collection for the last 9 months in Britain and in Northern Ireland and all round the UK. And I wondered how it would be to sing it here. And somebody, one of my fans, wrote to me and said, taking coals to Newcastle, because Dylan is American. But people have been so fantastic. I couldn't have imagined that people would so kindly and warmly respond to what I'm doing.
Well, I mean, Dylan did get his comeuppance in Manchester a little bit, many years ago.
It was a very long time ago.
So when did you discover Bob Dylan just as a person, before as a performer?
Well, that's a difficult question to answer, actually, because obviously I was aware of Dylan as a major league artist from the minute that I very first heard him. And I was an avid music person from birth, So I was aware of all the songs that were hits. I was aware of all the traffic to Dylan in the kind of mainstream. But I didn't get Dylan as in the way that I now feel about him, which in a way is something that's evolved, until I heard Blind Willie McTell. And by that time, I would say that was when it came out on the previously unreleased collection. Uh-huh. And it was when I heard that song that I went, I got to go back and listen to more of this man. And I didn't really do that until about 1999. And that was when, and I always think of it as like a sort of born-again experience. I became a born-again Dylan person, you know. And now I can't imagine songwriting without his work. And I measure everything against his work.
Well, let me...
It's unfortunate, really, because quite a lot of other work is wanting in that comparison.
but let me ask about singing Dylan, because one of the reasons they've had a devil of a time putting Dylan on stage. In other words, you know, they've had good luck with ABBA songs and creating Mamma Mia, and with some other artists, obviously the Jersey Boy folks, Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. But with Dylan, so much of his material after 1965 is so personal and cryptic, and it isn't pure narrative. It isn't very straightforward. Is that difficult, or does that unleash something else in you as a performer?
Well, two things, really. There's a complete difference between sticking a load of songs together and making a Broadway show. Which, you know, I mean, I have great difficulty with all of those musicals. I just think that they're lazy, actually, is what I think. I know that they're very successful, and I'm sure everybody involved with them is laughing all the way to the bank. But I can't think of ABBA in the same breath as Rodgers and Hammerstein. You know, what the purpose of the two pieces in that are doing is completely different. So to make a, whatever they're called, portmanteau musical out of Dylan's work seemed to me to be a mad idea to start with. That's the first thing. Secondly, what I feel I tried to do myself is to take the songs that I can sing, because I can't sing all of them, and work with the songs long enough that the songs find a way to sing in me that allows them to live in a truthful way in my repertoire, and that's a very different thing.
Well, how can you tell when a song, I mean, every kind of singer knows this, but how do you decide when a song feels right and works for you, and what would make a song not quite work for you, specifically with Dylan?
Well, I can use an example for that, Dave. For example, you know the song Who Knows Where the Time Goes, which is a beautiful Sandy Denny song.
Sure.
I can't sing that song. I tried and tried and tried. I must have tried 20 different arrangements of that song. And every time I'd come to the end of it and I'd go, I'm not bringing anything new to this song. And I knew that.
Judy Collins and Eva Cassidy,
who've done brilliant arrangements of it,
and
sing it perfectly well. And I think it's just a personal thing. It's like an alchemy, and I don't know why it happens. I just think it's an alchemy that happens with you and the songwriter and the material and your voice and your capacity to be in a song. And some songs just don't sing for you. You know, they just don't. And it's got nothing to do with your wanting or not wanting to sing them. They just don't do it.
Well, let me ask, Blind Willie McTell was the Bob Dylan song that kind of sparked Bob Dylan for you. What was the Bob Dylan song? Because you didn't put that on your first Dylan album. Every Grain of Sand.
No, I didn't.
You waited.
But I sung that. No, I had sung that before, you see. I had sung that song with Durga Rising, which is a collaboration I did with Jagjit an Anglo-Asian jazz fusion, which I always used to call Halve Your Audience, because people who liked Bhangra didn't like it, and people who liked jazz didn't like it either, although, interestingly, that is now undergoing a resurgence. Go figure. But I had sung it before, actually, so I didn't put it on the first collection because I felt I'd already done it. And then when I came to make, I think not Walking in the Sun, maybe it was Walking in the Sun, somebody I was working with said, why don't you do a different version of Blind Willie McTell? And that's when we worked on that particular six-time version of it, because I thought I could bring something different to it again. So I've in fact sung it twice.
Well, I hate to have you wait for 4 minutes, but I think it would be really appropriate if we now play Blind Willie McTell so everybody can hear your version of the song. So Barb Jungr, if you can just hang with us, let's do a demonstration.
Well,
and here
Thank you.
is Barb Jungr singing Blind Willie McTell.
arrow on the doorpost, saying this land is condemned. All the way from New Orleans to Jerusalem. Well, I traveled through East Texas where many martyrs fell, and I know no one can sing the blues like Blind Willie McTell. Well, I heard the hoot owls singing as they were taking down the tents. The stars above the barren trees were his only audience. Them charcoal gypsy maidens can strut their feathers well, but I know no one can sing the blues like Blind Willie McTell. See them big plantations burning, hear the cracking of the whips, smell that sweet magnolia blooming, and see the ghosts of slavery ships. I can hear them tribes a-moaning. I can hear the undertaker's bell. And I know nobody can sing the blues like Blind Willie McTell. There's a woman by the river with some fine young handsome man. He's dressed up like a squire, got a bottle of bootleg whiskey in his hand. There's a chain gang on the highway, I can hear those rebels yell, and I know no one can sing the blues like Blind Willie McTell. Well, God is in his heaven, and we all want what's his, but power and greed and corruptible seed seem to be all there is. I'm gazing out of the window of the St. James Hotel, and I know no one can sing the blues like Blind Willie McTell. Blind Willie McTell. Blind Willie McTell.
Certainly a very, very different version of Blind Willie McTell than you would hear on Bob Dylan's, well, it was a bootleg, unreleased recording thing, but wow, interesting stuff from Barb Jungr from her new album, Man in the Long Black Coat. Barb Jungr sings Bob Dylan, and you can hear Barb Jungr singing Bob Dylan live and in the flesh this weekend and all through next week to next weekend at the Metropolitan Room, 34 West 22nd Street in Manhattan. You can also pick up Man in the Long Black Coat from Lynn Records and find out all about her at barbjungr.co.uk. And that's Jungr, Jungr. I am curious, is that, it kind of looks Hungarian, but I don't know what...
It's Czech. It's Czech, Dave.
Oh my gosh, so how many generations... I'm sorry, you're half Czech.
My dad's Czech, my mother's German, so I'm first generation British. and they came over after the war. Mm-hmm. My dad died 3 years ago. We lost him 3 years ago, but my mum's still alive, and I grew up in a European household. I always called myself a European. But I'm very happy to be British.
Well, a European as opposed to an English woman, or
yeah.
Right? Okay.
Well,
So
English to me means something very particular, and I come from England. But to be English is to have grown up in a certain kind of England and with certain kind of English sensibility, and I didn't. I grew up in a household that was full of Europeans, there was my family and all the people we knew. They were all people from after the war, because I was born in 1954. So there were lots of people in the Northwest working in the mills who'd come over during and after the war for one reason or another. Austrian Jews, German Jews, people from Poland and Lithuania and Ukraine. We didn't really... Irish people. We didn't know anybody who was English. We knew people who were from somewhere else.
You're not Jewish, though, or partially Jewish?
My grandfather's... my grandmother on my father's side was Jewish.
That's why you got the hell out of Czechoslovakia, I guess. But
well, they were already kind of in hiding on all that stuff. But there is a homeopathic trace, yes.
So when you were growing up as a child in European England, what were the records that you were listening to?
Well, my mum and dad were because they were European. We went to the opera. Because, of course, in Europe, everybody goes to the opera. Opera isn't a class thing in Europe, which it is in Britain, actually, or has been for a long time. And so we went to the opera, we went to shows, we went to the cinema. I mean, my parents took me as soon as I could sit up on my own to everything they went to. So I saw loads and loads of stuff from being a tiny little tot. I saw singers and jugglers and performers, and so sometimes I say to my mum, it is your fault. If you'd never shown me any of this, I wouldn't have wanted to do it.
Do you remember the first singer and or theatrical performance that made a lasting impression on you when you were a tot?
Well, I remember seeing a singer, and she was called Yana, Y-A-N-A, and it was a touring variety show, and we'd gone into Manchester to see it. So I would have been about 4, and Yana came on, and she was incredibly voluptuous and looked, I guess, a bit like Zsa Zsa Gabor.
Yeah.
And she had a sequined dress on, really tight, sequined long dress. She was, I'd never seen anything as glamorous as that in my entire consciousness. And she sang, and I remember that very clearly.
I can imagine, and yet, in some ways, you turn the tables because you do a more modern sort of music, and you don't kind of go with the glitz and the furs and the boas and all that. I mean, it's a much more stripped down.
No, but I think it did have an impression on me. But I could sing from being a tiny little girl. I mean, my mum says that as soon as, like when I was a little tiny baby, I was singing all the time. My dad said, I would sit you on my knee on the bus and you would never shut up. You would sing and sing and sing and sing. And actually my experience of people who become singers, all of them share that. All of them sang from the very start, from the get-go. I could remember melody. I mean, I was musical. I think it's you have it, you haven't,
Did you ever take formal lessons in any kind of...
Oh, yeah, because I learnt the violin.
Oh.
I played the violin for a long time, so I can read music, I could do all that stuff. And then in a later point in my career, I did a lot of vocal training, and indeed for some time had a vocal practice coaching other people myself.
Oh.
And running choirs and stuff like that. So, I really have done lots of that kind of work, yeah.
Well, actually, this is totally nothing to do with my audience. I'll ask the audience to kind of bide their time for a minute or two. I have to ask you as a vocal coach, because I'm involved in a production that involves a one-person kind of show, screaming for 2.5 hours. Any suggestions on basic, how do you get through a show where you've got to muster that voice for a great period of time, night after night?
Well, you've got to really make sure that you're supporting the voice correctly. You've got to make sure that you're opening the throat. You've got to make sure that you're not pressurizing the vocal folds in order to get the sound. You've got to be able to do it easily. So you know when you watch a person scream in the street, and if you watch a person scream in the street, quite often their neck is all bulging, and all the veins in their neck are bulging out, and their face is red, and that's because they're using an enormous amount of effort to make that sound. You've got to learn to make the same sound with no effort at all. So partly you have to practice. I'd suggest you go and get some training on how to do it, because there is a way of doing it. And because babies do it. Babies scream and scream and scream and scream and scream, and it doesn't hurt them. But it's just about relaxing when you're doing it. It sounds like a kind of counterintuitive thing, actually, but it's possible. I remember seeing a play called Burn This, and it required John Malkovich to run onto the stage screaming and shouting for the first 10 minutes of the play. And he was doing that 9 times a week.
Right.
But without any damage, because he was doing it correctly.
And because he's John Malkovich. But yeah, no, I mean, is it all from the is it all from the breath, though, or is it the way you plant your feet? Is that it too?
It's everything. It's all of those things. It's your planting of your feet. It's your holding of your mechanism. It's the way you're opening the throat. It's the way you're using the vocal folds. It's all of it.
Huh. Okay, well, thank you. Now everybody can listen in again, not just the people who are directly interested in vocal techniques and training. And we're talking with Barb Jungr here on Dave's Gone By on this Saturday morning. Barb, of course, talking about singing because she specializes in all of this. So when you first started doing singing, were you doing more of the coffee shop sort of folk pop, or did you really start with cabaret all the way through?
That's a really interesting question. No, I started as a pop artist, actually. I was a pop artist in Britain for a while, and then it would have been about 1970. I'm speaking about when I started singing professionally.
Sure.
Would have been about 1978-ish. Punk was happening in London, and the effect of punk was to create this thing which was called the alternative cabaret circuit, which bears no relation to what people think of as cabaret in terms of music here, but was about people who were trying to do things with a politically aware edge, and they were using every single possible performance art form in which to do it. And it was that spawned the comedy circuit, actually. But on that circuit for about 3 years, I worked non-stop, seeing all this different work every night. You'd work 5, 6, 7 nights a week. Sometimes you'd do 2 shows a night in different places. You were constantly on a bill. You did 15, 20 minutes, and there would be 6 other people doing 15, 20 minutes, and they would be doing all kinds of things. And I just learned so much from that. I always think that, in a way, that was my university, actually, because I learned so much from that. I learned how to talk to audiences, how to deal with stuff, how to be on a stage. I learned all of that in a way that was very organic. Then beyond that, I became Younger and Parker. I worked with a man called Michael Parker for 12 years. And we sang festivals, folk clubs. We went all over the world with the British Council. I played in Cameroon and Malawi, Tanzania, the Yemen, Sri Lanka, Sudan. I played in all of those places. And then I started to work on my own. And about the same time, I did a master's in ethnomusicology, and that somehow that clarified for me what I wanted to do next. And I started working with arrangers and arrangements, and kind of carved this funny little furrow that I've been in ever since, which just plows forward,
Well, I would love to...
Musical highway of life.
Well, I would love to hear some anecdotes or memories or thoughts on playing at places I know I will never go in my life. I mean, Malawi and Tanzania and Cameroon, I don't see myself getting there in the near future. Any amazing moments or memories from those?
Oh, my God, yes. I have so many. One particular concert in Tanzania was in an afternoon, and it was right up beyond Mombasa. And we were in this little town where they've got like a little amphitheatre, tiny little town, and people came with their goats and chickens and sat in the audience with their animals and their children and food, and so at certain points during the set, some of the animals would wander around you on the stage. It was hilarious.
Oh my! And you just go with it, right? You stroke the chicken,
go with it.
cow.
One of the reasons that the British Council kept sending me was because I wasn't a diva, so I was really interested to go to these places, and I was really interested to work in places where other people point blank refused to go. You know, largely because they thought that the hotel accommodation wasn't good enough, things like that. And I didn't really care about anything like that. I didn't care at all. I just wanted to experience. I mean, I knew when would I ever else get a chance to go into the Cameroonian bush, you know, in a way that was completely legitimized. And because I was a musician, people accepted me. You know, they didn't think of me as a white woman. They thought of me as a musician. So I was invited into people's houses. I was invited to see ritual dances. I mean, I was invited to see things. You could live in Malawi all your life and not go to a Chichewan Gulawam Kulu festival, but I was invited.
Well, actually, we had a genuine Gulawam Chewing festival here last week. Go figure. You know, right on the. No, I'm kidding. I went for a joke there, but it just completely died because I couldn't pronounce it.
I liked the way you were driving then.
I try. Thank you so much. By the way, we are driving into 11 a.m. here at the University of Northern Colorado. You're listening to Dave's Gone By on UNCRadio.com, also on Channel 3 on your dorm room TVs if you happen to be at the university. Dave's Gone By. You can find out more about us at davesgoneby.com. You can also drop me an email if you want to ask Barb Jungr a question. I can check my email, davesgoneby@aol.com. Barb is going to stay with us a little while longer, I hope, yes?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, absolutely.
Great. So, yes, we're talking to Barb about her amazing experiences traveling and performing. Did you ever have any scary experiences or times when the audience was just, you almost walked off the stage because they weren't paying attention or something?
Oh, no, not in this, but I did have a scary experience in Cameroon one evening. I mean, I've been told that after a certain point at night, the streets are owned by whoever's patrolling them. And we had been taken out, my colleague and I, Michael Parker, who was a guitarist, we'd been taken out to a place where you could have eat chicken, and basically kind of equivalent of a restaurant. But it was right out in the middle of nowhere by the sea, and in order to get to it, you had to take this little lane, and there's a lot of illegal petrol being brought in from Nigeria to Cameroon on tiny little boats. And the government had tried to close the illegal, and it was coming into this little bay, which we had to go past. The government had tried to close down this trade. So they'd sent in a tank with a guy in it, and the petrol pirates had burned the tank with the guy in it and left it there with the guy's body sticking out of it, charred body, to warn people not to try and stop this trade. So we had to drive past this body stuck out of a tank. And on our way to a restaurant, can't make it up. And there were all the pirates were there, and the pirates, they look like pirates. And I don't mean they look like Johnny Depp. Right. I mean they look, rugged, and they've got big guns and lots of bullets around their necks and stuff like that. And they came and looked in the car window. They passed us on. They knew we weren't interested in the petrol. They were not interested in us. And that was quite scary. But on the way home, we were stopped by some renegade uniformed people. This was in the city. And they stopped the car and they said, right, we want something. And by this time, we were just being taken home. So there was the driver and me and Michael in the back of the car. Yeah. And we didn't have any money or anything because we'd been taken out. And I was told, don't carry your passport, don't carry anything, you know, just be safe. So we didn't have anything on us that was of any worth at all. And they said, get out of the car, you know, and I thought, oh, we're in trouble. We're going to be in trouble here. Because how can I contact anybody? You know, didn't have phone or anything.
Sure.
They said, okay, we want something. They meant a bribe, you know. We want something or we're going to have to take you in. And I thought, oh, dear me. So, and suddenly, out of nowhere, I remembered that I'd been on the television in Cameroon. So I said to them, you know who I am. I've been on Tam Tam Weekend. And they said, Tam Tam Weekend? And I said, yes, you know Tam Tam Weekend. I was singing there today, and I started to sing the song. And they started laughing. They go, Tam Tam Weekend, they go, have you got a cassette? And I had a cassette, you see, in my bag. And I said, yeah, and I gave them a cassette, and they let us go.
Oh, my God. But see, yeah. It's a happy, wonderful story, but I would have been on the first flight out of that miserable country. and I would have been like all your colleagues who said, no, you know, not just the hotels. I'm not playing these places. No, you know.
Oh, it was absolutely great. It's been, you know, in your life's journey, I can't tell you my debt of gratitude to have been able to go to those places.
I guess. I mean, and you still travel. I mean, I assume now you've traveled to more conducive cities around the world.
I don't know, you see, because I was in Australia last year, and actually it wasn't last year that this happened, but the year before that I was in Australia, and I was just walking back on a free day. I had a free day, and I'd gone to the beach, and as I was walking back, I heard this rustling noise at my feet, and I'm not kidding you, I saw the biggest snake I've ever seen in the wild, just zipping past me to go over a fence and disappear into the undergrowth. I mean, Australia's alive. I never saw anything like that in Africa.
Huh. Well, lucky you, I guess. And it's just, maybe your philosophy is when it's your time, it'll be your time, and until then, you just have to go wherever life takes you, and to go for that adventure as well. Do you have?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I would. Well, look at you. You know, you're living in Colorado now. You said yes to that. You know, I mean, you're offered things, and I think if you reject things, you reject them at your peril, because you may never get that opportunity again. I mean, not obviously if it's an utterly stupid thing,
right.
But if it's something that's interesting or you could learn from it, my gosh, my philosophy is to say yes as often as possible.
And I guess when you're a creative person, it's almost more important to be able to do that, because it all contributes to the experience, and then the way you transmute that backward into art or something like that.
Yeah.
That wasn't a joke. I was trying to go for something profound there. I got halfway there. Not too bad. That's better than I usually do.
I think you're absolutely right, actually.
Do you have personal question? Are family, kids, any of that sort of thing?
I know I have a mum who's still alive,
right.
And I have I'm the guardian of my nephew after his dad, because my sister, I've lost both my sisters, and one of my sisters left a small child, and his dad. So I'm very much in their family. So I kind of think that the universe said, "Oh, you think you're not going to have any children? Well, take this." So I've got an 8-year-old nephew now that I have a very strong and personal relationship with, because I have to, because if anything happens to his dad, I'm on the firing line, you know. So, so that's what I've got.
Well, that's. Can I ask? I mean, you've lost a parent, but losing sisters. I mean, how do you get through that?
Well, it's. I mean, it was horrible to lose one sibling, and I lost both my younger sisters. It was horrible to lose my first sibling. When my second sister died, I really did. I just looked at the heavens and I went, I don't understand this anymore. I don't understand.
Were they ill, or was it natural, or what? Why?
Well, my sister Christina died in 2000. She had multiple sclerosis, and she died in my arms. She choked, because when you have multiple sclerosis at that level, that's generally speaking what happens. And it was really, really horrible. And I wouldn't wish it on anybody. I wouldn't wish the experience I had or the experience she had on anyone. My other sister died very suddenly. She had a heart attack in the street and died. So Christina died aged 38, and my other sister died aged 44.
Oh my God. Wow. I'm sorry. And thank God, you're healthy. You're okay.
I'm brilliant. Thank you very much. I'm very hale and hearty. I shall live to 100. I always know that.
Oh, from your mouth to God's ears. That'd be wonderful. I'm not living. I'll hope to make it to 80. That would be nice. Yeah. With my rage problem, I'll probably make it to 71.
Yeah, no, I'm here for the long haul.
Can I ask? Getting back to the music, I didn't realize that we would go to such a dark place. But getting back to the music,
yes.
I can't believe I haven't asked this yet. Have you ever met Bob Dylan?
No, I haven't, but I've had a huge amount of kind help and support from his management team, and just recently they asked for some albums to send to him.
Oh, cool. Would you want to, or would that almost be like you'd be afraid to be either disappointed or you wouldn't know what to say? Your thoughts on that?
I can't imagine one wouldn't know what to say, but the difficulty, of course, is always that you know somebody through their work. You don't know them.
Right.
And if you are around lots of people who've achieved great fame, and I know people in Britain who've achieved great fame, then you're always aware that there's a very great difference between a public and a private person. So I have no idea who Bob Dylan is outside of his music and songs. So I've no idea whether I'd like him or he would like me, or we would have anything worthwhile to contribute to each other's being. But what I would like to be able to do is to say personally how wonderful I think his work is. And I hope that if he listens to what I do with his work, he would know that without my having to.
Yeah, I guess that's what we all kind of hope for. That just that moment to say, thank you. I don't want to bother you. I just want to say thank you. and please live another 150 years or something like that. That'd be about...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I totally agree. Yeah, precisely. I really do think that Dylan's work is somewhere else. I don't think anything compares to it. I'm talking about in terms of songwriting in our tradition, I don't think there's anything that's comparable to it.
Well, let's hear...
In terms of its legacy and its profound depth and its subtle understanding of the human condition. And I think it must be very, very hard to live with that level of insight. It's a Gore Vidal level of insight. It's a Pinter level of insight into the human condition.
Wow. Here I was trying to be profound, and you just nailed it right on the head. Thank you, Barb Jungr. Let's hear a little bit more of Barb singing before we close our interview with her. That has just been so fascinating and ranged through so many things. I was going to play "Man in the Long Black Coat," which is the title track of your new record, but you can pick one if you prefer. Is there a song that...
I love that. I'm happy if you play that.
Oh, okay, well, we're happy too. "Man in the Long Black Coat" from Barb Jungr, and we'll be right back with her after this song.
Crickets are chirping, the water is high. There's a soft cotton dress on the line hanging dry. Window wide open, African trees bent over backward in a hurricane breeze. Not a word of goodbye, not even She's gone with the man in the long black coat. Somebody seen him hanging around in the old dance hall on the outskirts of town. He looked into her eyes when she stopped to ask if he wanted to dance. He had a face like a mask. Somebody said from the Bible he'd quote, there was dust on the man in the long black coat. Preacher was a-talking, there's a sermon he gave. He said, every man's conscience is vile and depraved. You cannot depend on it to be your guide when it's you who must keep it satisfied. It ain't easy to swallow, it sticks in the throat. She gave her heart to the man in the long black coat. There are no mistakes in life, some people say. It's true sometimes, you can see it that way. But people don't live or die, people just float. She went with the man in the long black coat. There's smoke on the water, it's been there since June. Tree trunks are rooted neath the high crescent moon. Feel the pulse and vibration gather in force. Someone is out there beating on a dead horse. She never said nothing, there was nothing she wrote. She's gone with the man in the long black coat.
The title track of Barb Jungr's latest CD, Bob Dylan's Man in the Long Black Coat. And yeah, Bob Dylan is also, or was, one of the greatest singers in the history of rock and roll. But he couldn't sing like that. He couldn't get that kind of beauty out of his pipes, even in like the Desire days, or the great days of the 1960s. You got Barb Jungr for that. So Barb, it's been absolutely delightful talking with you. And one of the things we said while the mics were off is that your next thing is going to be exploring those really like major rock and roll years of 65, 66 of, the blonde on blondish era. Is that your next treasure trove to crack?
I'm interested in that, and I'm interested in now his most recent output. So I've got sort of two explorations going at the same time. I'm looking at all of those.
And do you see another pure Dylan album coming out of you, or are you going to mix them up, or do you need to sometimes put Dylan aside and do other stuff?
I think I'd probably mix them up for the next one, but I think another pure Dylan album may come eventually, because I do think that I just love it. I love it. I love his work. I love it. I can't really express it any other way.
Well, and you did mention, and not to give out your particulars, but you also mentioned one of the cool things is because you're such a Dylanologist in a way, that fans and people always send you extra special rare bootlegs of stuff, and that's also a learning curve as well. So if people want to...
It really is. I mean, I've been so lucky with people doing that. And people come and tell me stories. Last night, somebody came up and said, my best friend married Joan Baez, and the marriage didn't last, but I just wanted to tell you that. You know, I mean, people come and tell you the most fantastic things.
Wait, was that best friend married to David, the guy who was in prison for the war, or was this a later marriage?
No, I think what was David's surname?
Oh, was it Harris, I think, or something like that?
That was the one. Yeah. He was Dave Harris' best friend.
Oh my God! Well, how's Dave Harris doing? Is he still with us?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Huh. Oh my gosh, haven't heard that name in ages and ages. Huh. And then what other great Dylan stories have you been told that we might not know?
Well, I was told a lovely story by a man in Ireland who had really, really wanted to tell Dylan how great he was. And he came out of a concert, and he was just walking home. And as he was walking home, he passed this man standing by the side of a car and down a side street, and there was nobody else around, and it was Dylan. And he said, well, excuse me, I just wanted to say, you know, how wonderful that concert was. And Dylan was really nice to him and signed some things and shook his hand, and this man came away, and he's treasured that moment forever.
Well, who wouldn't? I mean, yes, certainly. I mean, and it's always, I always like to hear nice stories like that. That thing of what we were talking about before, of being able to go to your idol and say, not going to bother you, thank you, please sign this, and bless you. And the idol being totally cool and gracious about it. But it's also, I've heard a lot of things about Dylan just kind of going off wandering on his own. There was a story in the newspapers a few months ago that he was almost arrested, like they thought he was a vagrant. He was in some country or some city, and he was just kind of wandering with his little hoodie, unrecognizable, and the police didn't recognize him until they got to the station. So they put him in their patrol car. He was just sort of wandering around like a desiccated part of the city. And then there was, you know who you have in your patrol car, don't you? And they felt really sheepish about it.
Oh, bless them.
Just hysterical. But anyway, Barb Jungr, please go see her at the Metropolitan Room, 34 West 22nd Street. She's playing there through October 29th, so you have another week. So 212-206-0440 is the phone number for tickets. Her most recent album is Man in the Long Black Coat. She also has an album called Every Grain of Sand. Those are the two Dylan albums. She also has, close to a dozen other records at this point, right?
And they're all available on Amazon US.
Great, Amazon.com.
Amazon US, the US Amazon, you can get everything.
Right, and also you can find out about all these things at barbjungr.co.uk. So it's BARBJUNGR. There's no E in there. It's barbjungr.co.uk. Well, Barb, what is the direct next thing that I think you mentioned? After New York, you're going to where?
LA to Catalina Bar and Grill. And then, which is a jazz club in Hollywood, and then to Austin.
Austin? Is it part of a festival there, or are you playing at a particular club?
I'm playing at Austin Cabaret Theatre.
Ooh, lovely. I wish there was a place in Greeley that was that would be appropriate for you to play. I'm there's a coffee shop here, but it's a little on the tiny side, and then the other places are more for rock and roll. But let's get Barb Jungr to Colorado, because we need to hear this music.
I'd love to come to Colorado. Let's do that.
Wonderful. Well, it has been an absolute delight and pleasure hearing your music and talking to you.
It's been a pleasure talking to you too. Thank you, Dave. Thank you very much.
And Barb, may you stay forever young.
Oh, forever young. Thank you, too.
May God bless and keep you always. May your wishes all come true. May you always do for others and let others do for you. May you build a ladder to the stars and climb on every rung. And may you stay feel the light surrounding you. May you always be courageous. Stand upright and be strong. May you stay forever young. Forever young. Forever young. May you stay forever young. May your hands always be busy. May your feet always be swift. May you have a strong foundation when the winds of changes shift. May your heart always be joyful. May your song always be sung. May you stay forever young. Forever young. Forever young. Forever young.
I wish that I was a star, I'm moving in. You're dark in a deep blue sky, where love and hate are lost behind the moon, where nothing can go wrong, and my soul can get along. Sometimes I wonder how long it will be before I can settle down. For this a busy world gets so busier each day. Well, I don't want to complain, but I find the world insane. Let's drink to a fall down dead till the stars start floating inside our heads. Then drink some more to see us on our way, like the sun shining on a stream to make our dreams supreme. Well, I do believe I love everyone, perhaps more than I should. With all my heart I try to please and give from a foolish little boy a world of love and joy.
Some Bert Jansch there, here on Dave's Gone By. Come sing me a happy song. To prove we can all get along the lumpy, bumpy, long, and dusty road. That's actually the full title. The title is actually longer than that song from the late Bert Jansch. We're going to don't have that much time to do it, but we're going to do a little bit of a Saturday segue here on Dave's Gone By in honor of two of the music people that we lost over the past couple of weeks while I was on vacation from this program. There'll be Bert Jansch and Indian composer and singer Jagjit Singh. But before we get to that segue, I do have to do, I forgot about this, a little bit of business to tell you why and how we are here in the neighborhood every Saturday morning from 10 until 1. It is by the good grace of our sponsors, Hewlett Minuteman Press, the copy kings of Broadway, owned and operated by the Toron family since the mid-1970s. Hewlett Minuteman Press is the place to go for all your copying, binding, printing needs. If you want to put your company's logo on a calendar or a mug or a pen, they're the folks to do it. If you need things bound for presentations, if you just need regular copies, color or black and white, or both, Hewlett Minuteman Press, no job too big or too small, and they do it well in a reasonable amount of time and for a reasonable sum, which is what it is all about. They've been our sponsor since the very beginning, and even though I don't live in New York anymore, I still use them for some of my copy jobs, and not just because, they're advertisers, so I get a bit of a sweetheart deal. But, hey, everybody gets a sweetheart deal at Minuteman Press if you mention Dave's Gone By, because you get 10% off any job, big or small. They're right in the heart of Hewlett, opposite the Lomans in downtown Hewlett, New York. So check them out, Minuteman Press. And I think I even have their phone number. They might still be open for another hour or two today. They're at 516-569-5577. 516-569-5577. Minuteman Press, they are the copy kings. This program is also brought to you by TotalTheater.com, which has just undergone an amazing renovation. Is that the word? A revamp, a remodel. It's still as fast as it has been for the past few years. It's just a little easier to navigate. We can do a lot more stuff with it. And what TotalTheater.com is all about is reviews and articles about the theater. It's absolutely free. You can just go on there and surf to your heart's content. So if you want to read reviews of the latest Broadway shows, like the new Frank Langella show Man and Boy that the Roundabout Theater is doing, go to TotalTheater.com. It'll be right there. You can search for it. There's also a list of the most recent shows. And there's not just reviews, but feature stories about the American and the international theater. So you can read stories and articles and reviews of theater going on everywhere from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, to Los Angeles, to Rochester, New York, to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival a couple of weeks ago. It's all there. Absolutely free. TotalTheater.com. Do check it out. And that is also now the gateway to all these different things, to Performing Arts Insider, the Bible of Broadway since 1944. This is a hard copy journal that tells you every little bit of information in detail on what's going on the stages of New York, Broadway, off-Broadway, off, listings for cabaret, opera, dance, events, and awards. It's in the pages of Performing Arts Insider. Check out performingartsinsider.com. You'll want to subscribe. And it's really cool, even in this day and age, to go in your mailbox and get a nice hard copy magazine that you can read on the train, over breakfast, on the toilet, wherever you need. Most of the readers for this actually read it at their desks and use it for their work. The kinds of folks who subscribe to Performing Arts Insider are bookers for TV shows and radio shows. They want to know, hey, what big important celebrity is going to be on Broadway in half a year? How do I get in touch with them? How do I find a designer or a manager or a press agent handling an off-Broadway show? It's all in those pages, performingartsinsider.com. And let's see, well, as I said, the gateway to both Performing Arts Insider, as well as this program, davesgoneby.com, and some of the stuff that Rabbi Saul Solomon is doing. He'll be here in a few minutes to do his rabbinical reflection. All of that, you can go right through TotalTheater.com and start surfing around. So please do that. I want to give a shout-out to Jeff Goodman, who was a co-host of this program for a couple of years back in New York. Jeff is, thank God, knock wood, doing really, really well these days. both physically with his health. He's also, last I heard, on vacation in Thailand for a couple of weeks until mid-November, so I hope he's having a wonderful time. But when Jeff gets back, get in touch with him if you have a party in the tri-state area, because he is the proprietor of Fancy Schmancy Balloons. And it's not just balloons. He can make your party look really special with centerpieces and themes, be it anything from the New York Yankees to music to baseball to Seinfeld, whatever you want. Jeff can make your party look terrific at Fancy Schmancy Balloons. Shouldn't your party be a fancy schmancy one? The number is, let me see if I remember this because I don't have it written down, 516 I've forgotten. I used to know it by heart. 569. No, that's Minuteman Press. I'll look it up. Anyway, Jeff Goodman. Fancy Schmancy Balloon. Shouldn't your party be a fancy schmancy one? I'm sorry, Jeff. I'll make that up to you. Also, let's do really quickly the sponsors for this radio station. So, those include the Marquee Magazine, live for live music. Programming is supported by Marquee Magazine, an independent Colorado magazine covering the regional live music scene in print and online. It has the region's most thorough concert calendar designed for music freaks by music freaks. Check out marqueemag.com, MarqueeMag.com. The Marquee, live for live music. Programming on UNC Radio is also brought to you by AF Rays. Head on down for some awesome shows on Halloween weekend. AF Rays right in the heart of downtown Greeley, Colorado. And let's see, what are they doing? They're October 28th. This Friday, it's a free show with a family band featuring Ben Pooh. Oh my God, the amazing Ben Pooh and members from Pink Paisley. So if you want to get pooed on, ladies and gentlemen, this Friday, and it'll be 2-for-1 drink specials and a costume contest, the winner getting a $100 bar tab. So you can really get wasted and covered in poo this Friday, October 28th at AF Rays. And then on Saturday, a heavy metal show with another costume contest. Again, $100 bar tab is the grand prize and spooky specials all night long. It'll be a great Halloween weekend at AF Rays. Go check it out. And speaking of Halloween and all things creepy and morbid, come out to the Greeley Mall to face your fears, starting October 29th. I imagine, actually they may have meant September 29th because this has been going on for a while, but at least, the very least, it'll be Thursday through Halloween. Face your fears. Don't waste your time going through a boring corn maze. Come to the scariest haunted house in northern Colorado. Open Wednesdays through Saturdays from 8 to midnight. And if you hate lines, then use the UNC Student Radio promo code, UNCSR, and order online. MorbidNightsColorado.com. MorbidNightsColorado.com. The regular price is $15, so you get the discount if you use UNCSR, and it's only $11.50. Can you face your fears? Morbid Nights Colorado, fear of all fears with a southern twist. And finally, just got to let you know of a few people who are going to be playing in the area. You've got Carl Denson's Tiny Universe is playing, they're doing the Rolling Stones Sticky Fingers album with special guest Rose Hill Drive performing the Who's Next, and an opening set by Anders Osborne. All of that Monday, October 31st at the Fillmore Auditorium. Interesting way to spend Halloween. Then Jeremy with Ali Pierre, Rocky, and Dre Lane at the Gothic Theater on November 2nd in Denver. Also at the Fillmore in Denver, November 12th, Tech 9, American rapper from Kansas City, and VNV Nation with Strandtans at the Summit Music Hall, Saturday, November 26th. Their VNV Nation is a British-Irish electronic music band, and it stands for Victory, Not Vengeance. Kind of cool. And finally, Vices I Admire are doing a CD release party at the Bluebird Theater, December 9th at 8:30. Opening for them are Take to the Oars, Genre Theory, and Microdots. Wow, okay, got the all the sponsors out of the way, time to do a little bit of a Saturday segue. We'll do a bit more later on if there's time. But let's hear a little more Bert Jansch. Bert Jansch passed away on October 5th of cancer. He was only 67 years old. Born on November 3rd, 1943. Best known, well, kind of two things. He had the solo work. He was also a member of Pentangle from 1968 to 1972 with John Renbourn and female singer Jackie McShee. Jansch won 2 BBC Lifetime Achievement Awards, and maybe you know his music directly, but he influenced everyone from Donovan to Beth Orton and Devendra Banhart. He played with the two of them. He was admired by Paul Simon. If you hear one of those early Simon and Garfunkel albums, they do that song Angie. Well, that was based on the Sally Angie, which Jansch had on one of his albums, and most famously, he had a tune called Black Waterside. It was a traditional tune that he arranged, and that influenced Led Zeppelin's Black Mountainside? Something like that. And Jansch would have sued Led Zeppelin for plagiarism, for copyright infringement, but he couldn't afford to do it. And anyway, Jansch kicked an alcohol problem in 1987, and that certainly bought him 17 more years until his passing just 2 weeks ago. So here is a little more Bert Jansch with, perfect timing, just after Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and the Jewish holidays, the bright new year.
Hello, mother dear, I hope you are well and happy today. I do love you and think of you each single day. I dream of seeing you happy. In summertime I thought that I would be able to see you again. I do love you and think of you each single day. I dream of seeing you happy. Da 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 do do do, dee da 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 do da da da, da 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 da. As the bright new year draws closer now, I'm on my way to bring you my love and wish you good cheer. Mother dear, I hope you are well and happy today. I do love you and think of you each single day. I dream of seeing you happy. I wish I had a photograph to let you see the way you smile upon my foolish heart. The words I do not know enough, I hope that you will find my song a pleasing to your ear. You step beneath the midnight moon to gather dewdrops for the sun, awaiting until morn. Oh, if I was a branched tree, I'd be the oak tree, fast and strong, to win your gentle heart. And if I was one grain of corn, I'd wait till you did come along and throw me to the wind. And if I was one silken thread, embroidered all in cherry red, upon your breast I'd lie. And if I was the alder tree, burning fiercely over thee, our love would surely last. And if I was a hawthorn bush, and you did shelter under me, I would not do you harm. And if I was one glass of wine, one sip from you would give me time to take you by the hand. And all across the hills we'd go in search of what no one does know, except both you and I.
You, I like, so let me tip my hat. In your path, I spread my welcome mat. You, I like, can you imagine that? Although your ways may be strange, and there's much that I'd change, somehow you I like, and warmly recommend. From now on, we call each other friend. I'll be at your side until the end. Can you believe that I found such a thrill in the sound of the new chord we strike? You I like.
Well, what's not to like, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, we have another cabaret artiste, also an actor, excuse me, in the neighborhood with us this fine Saturday morning. And we made such an impression on this man. This is absolutely hysterical. I must be somewhat invisible because, first of all, this man was on our radio show 4 years ago. He didn't even remember. He spent like 45 minutes on the show. Didn't even remember a moment of it. I just had to remind him, off the air. And at that time, 4 years ago, he had not remembered that I was running the box office for a show that he was in way back before he was famous as he is now, a show called Olympus on My Mind. So now I'm going to remind him once again, ladies and gentlemen, Jason Graae is with us. And Jason, do you feel humbly ashamed now?
Wow, I feel so big for my britches that I can't possibly remember all the minutia of my life, Dave.
Oh, I'm so...
all the little people.
That's what I am. I'm minutia, ladies and gentlemen.
I would just like to say, in my defense of my brain fart, that's what comes from too much pills and liquor.
There you go. Wait, what song? That's what comes... Oh, it's from Cabaret. That's not a Jerry Herman show.
Too much pills and liquor. I so remember you from Olympus on My Mind, and... I do remember talking about Olympus on My Mind on your radio show last time. I have to tell you, I'm in the country right now. I'm upstate New York.
Ooh.
And I came out here to stay at my director of my show, Lee Tannen's beautiful country house right on the Hudson River, and I'm a complete potato head right now. It's been so beautiful. I'm just like totally in vacation mode. So, you've really gotten me kind of vulnerable right now.
Oh, but wait a minute. If you're in complete vacation mode, aren't you appearing as we speak? I mean, do you have to be in New York City tonight?
I've got a little break. We've done 2 shows already of Perfect Harmony.
Right.
The songs of Jerry Herman. We did it Monday and Tuesday at the last Tuesday and Wednesday at the Laurie Beachman Theater on 42nd and 9th. And then we have 2 more shows coming up this week, Monday and Tuesday nights.
Oh, okay. A
little break.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah, you get to be in the country and away from the zaniness of New York, which I know you must love. Are you still a New Yorker at heart, or are you on the West Coast as mainly your home?
I am I live the West Coast now, and I am still a New Yorker at heart.
Fair enough. So is there enough work for what you do living on the coast? Is it because you travel and tour all the time, or...
Yeah, I spend a lot of time on the road so that I can afford the house that I own in Hollywood.
A house in Hollywood?
I live under the Hollywood sign, Dave. I live under the hoe of the Hollywood sign.
Well, I've lived under my share of hoes before, but no, I don't know what that means. Thank you. It was your joke. It was your joke. I was just building on it. So, is most of your career, I mean, I know you do a little bit of acting. You were in 6 Feet Under. I remember being shocked. I was suddenly like, oh my gosh, there's Jason Graae. But mostly it's live performance still. Am I right?
Yeah, but I moved out to Los Angeles like 13 years ago to do Forbidden Hollywood, and then I was primarily doing television out there, and then the whole thing kind of changed with the reality shows coming in and the writer's strike and all that kind of stuff, and so the TV climate is a little different. It's starting to come around again, but that's when I started doing my one-man show and doing a lot of operas, strangely enough, and I do a lot of theater, and, so I travel a lot. I come back here a lot. I'm a prostitute. I go wherever they pay me, Dave.
That's good to know. And your call button number is, in case people want to... Because Jason is an extremely charming fellow. I mean, I'm as it happens, I'm straight. But if I were not, Jason is one of the first people I would call as far as, hey, I'm ready to turn. Not happy.
My loss. Now you tell me. Oh, great. I don't even remember that we talked the last time, but I do remember that I was strangely attracted to you, Dave.
Well, thank you so much. But it's that level of insouciance and charm that has made Jason Graae. Look, I'm not building to a joke here. This is the truth. This is here. This is what Brian Scott Lipton, also a friend of mine actually, who wrote about Perfect Harmony at the Laurie Beachman Theater. Quote, armed with the timing of an expert stand-up comic, a delicious array of facial expressions, and the uncanny ability to engage the audience as conspirators... Sorry, I've been talking all morning. The uncanny ability to engage the audience as conspirators in his tomfoolery, Graae often leaves spectators in stitches. How's that for a review?
Wow, how about that? Brian Scott Lipton, eh?
Yeah, I know him. I think he's Theater Mania now, but I knew him.
He's Theater Mania, yeah, I got that review. I love Brian. I've always admired him as a writer, and I really admire his taste in performers.
See, him you remember. Me, you have to have your memory jog.
I remember you. Yes, that was really fun. We're really having a complete ball to segue it back over to my show at the Laurie Beachman. It's so much fun. And, it's Jerry Herman, so you can't go wrong singing those songs. Everybody loves hearing some Jerry Herman show tunes, especially here in New York. And it's been just great. It's been so fun to just celebrate him. And, it's his 80th birthday this year.
Mazel tov. And who knew, like 20 years ago, considering his health condition. I mean, that was back when, what was a death sentence, pretty much. And instead, here he is, Larry Kramer. I mean, go figure. How amazing.
No, it's so amazing. It's truly amazing. And he's so strong at 80, and he's like shorter than me, he's a little guy, and but God, he's a pistol, and his enthusiasm and his exuberance, it's contagious. He's an amazing force of nature.
But how did you go from being, well, not to be negative, but being, quote, just another cabaret singer who, like every cabaret singer, does a Jerry Herman song or two, to being a specialist and also, I would say, a friend of Jerry Herman?
It's wild, isn't it?
Well, how did it happen?
I like that. Well, it was really thanks to Michael Kirker and ASCAP. They put together a show called Hello, Jerry, and we traveled around the country. It was Jerry and Don Pippin, his longtime musical director, and Karen Morrow, the fabulous Karen Morrow, and Paige O'Hara. Paige and Susan Egan kind of alternated, and myself. And we did this show. We went to about 20 cities. We went all over the country, and we performed this fabulous show called Hello, Jerry. And Jerry came out, and he played, and he sang Mame. He played for us, and he would tell stories, and it was just like this really fun review. And so I got to really know him well during that time, and loved him. He just couldn't be more supportive of singers singing his material, and he loves hearing his stuff sung. Who wouldn't?
Right.
He wrote those songs.
Huh.
But it was such a ball, and so that really started this relationship. And then he kind of, he got a little worn out from the life on the road and didn't feel like going to all those places and stuff. So I thought, well, damn it, I missed the paycheck. So I started putting a show of my own together. So I thought, and now he's such hot stuff. He just got the Kennedy Center honor and his 80th birthday. So I thought, I'll ride his coattails, damn it. And and I have some good stories about working with him. And, I did the grand tour that he put together in Los Angeles. And I've gotten to do quite a few different events with him. So,
let's. Just to whet people's appetite, share us a story of working with Jerry Herman, and then people can see other stories when they come to see you at the Beachman Theater. So, give us a taste.
Well, I tell the whole story about where I first met him, which was when I auditioned for Hello Dolly, for the national tour of Hello Dolly, and that was.
Wait, the original.
I'm sorry.
What are we talking? The original Hello Dolly? From.
I'm not quite that old. Dave,
yeah.
But
no.
Thanks anyway.
No, I'm sorry. No. Which
yes, it was for the role of Irene Malloy's adopted baby.
I thought you were going to say the role of Irene Malloy. Then I'd be really no, I'm kidding.
I'm not that versatile. But my ribbons down my back it's one of the best songs in the show. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, the first time it was for the 1983 national tour of Hello Dolly, starring Carol Channing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the first time that I met him. And so, I kind of talk about our journey together. And then when we finally got to meet up, when we started doing the show, the first time that I ever sang for Jerry was for a concert of his at UCLA. And I was singing Just Go to the Movies with K.T. Sullivan. And Jerry was sitting, 2 feet away from me. And it's a list song, that Just Go to the Movies. So it's nerve-wracking. So we were getting through it, and I was ready to, pee on the floor. I was so beside myself with excitement that he was there. And he was so supportive and so generous afterwards. And honest to God, he just makes you feel so comfortable singing his stuff. And all composers don't do that. Some are a nervous wreck. But he's so nurturing and so very, very encouraging for singers singing his material. And so
has he ever
I love performing with him.
Has he ever told you why, apart from, say, Mrs. Santa Claus, he really hasn't contributed that much new material in the last, 30 years? Well, 20 years.
Well, he wrote the Miss Spectacular, which
Miss Spectacular. Right. That's
yes.
it. Yeah.
And they did a concept album of that, and there are some great songs in Miss Spectacular. Oh my God. He got caught up in, I think he had to start taking care of his health, so that kind of took him out of things for a while. But The Miss Spectacular is this wonderful concept album that they're trying to do as a theater piece, and that's taken a while, and I hope that they'll do something with it, because, again, it's all Jerry Herman songs, and he doesn't know how to write anything but a great song, you know. So, and now he's just, everything, you know, it's just, he just seems to be in the air, and his stuff is also current and fun, and it's coming back, and everybody's talking about these revivals of Hello Dolly and Name and all these things. So, you know, hopefully there's more to come.
Hey, what is your favorite Jerry Herman song, Jason Graae?
Well, Dave, I have to say that. Oh God, that's a tough question. I would say.
Well, tell you what. I'll split the question in half. What is your favorite Herman song, just in general, and what is your favorite Herman song to sing? How's that? Is that easier?
I think my favorite Herman song to sing is Mary Ann from the Grand Tour.
Okay.
I think it's one of the most beautiful songs he ever wrote, and everybody doesn't know it. And its simplicity is stunning. It's so beautiful. And I remember when I saw the Grand Tour when I was in college, and that song, I mean, it stayed with me forever. You know, it's a classic. And it's not one of his most known songs. So I think, you know, whenever I hear I Don't Want to Know from Dear World, I get goosebumps, you know, regardless of who's singing it. That's probably my favorite song. And it's, you know, it's vintage life affirming Jerry Herman, but it's also got such pain and pathos underneath it, and I love it. I think the score of Dear World is stunning.
Oh, there's a reason you're a specialist in Jerry Herman, because you really get into the music. By the way, and I should mention that the two songs that Jason just mentioned, I Don't Want to Know from Dear World and Mary Ann, back with Mrs. S.L. Jakubowski, are both on your CD. The CD is also called Perfect Harmony. It's on the Kritzerland label, which I guess you can get at jasongraae.com, or do you have to go to Amazon, or how do you get it?
You can get it at Kritzerland.com.
Oh, okay, cool. Kritzerland.
Bruce's label, and I think it's eventually going to be over at Amazon. Bruce Kimmel said that he was heading it over to that place as well. So, or I'll be selling it at the Laurie Beachman Theater on Monday or Tuesday night, Dave.
Oh, so people can you'll sign it and everything. You'll
I will
shake a
sign
hand.
it. I'll do cartwheels if anybody buys it. I don't have to carry like all those CDs back to LA on Wednesday, so I'm trying to dump them out now when I can.
There you go. So everybody go to the show, go to the cabaret show with Jason Graae, Perfect Harmony. Get the CD. You will not regret it. It's really quite delightful. I'm going to play another track. I know. You have to leave in about 2-3 more minutes. I thought we would have a bit more time with you, Jason. You kind of threw me a curve.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. How far are we from the train station? We're like, right. How far are we from the train station? 40 minutes from the train station. So now we got to get in the car, because now I'm heading back to New York tonight, and so. I didn't know that we were quite this far, but oh my God, I'm looking at the river right now, and I'm talking to my favorite DJ in the world. What could be better than this?
The favorite DJ that Jason doesn't remember. So, do you have?
It was so wonderful the last time. I had to put it out of my mind. It was getting in the way of my relationship.
So you do have a couple more. You're in the car, so we have a few more minutes. Or not?
Well, I could talk in the car. There were 3 other people sitting there with me, so...
So let's do another 5-10 minutes, and then
okay,
so I can annoy you a little bit longer. A question that I asked Barb Jungr when she was on, about an hour ago on this show, had to do with the fact that, there's New York and LA when it comes to cabaret, and how do we get more cabaret in between those two states? How much of what you do is between the two coasts, and do you see that growing of a feel for cabaret performance in the middle of the country?
In the middle of the country?
Yeah.
Well, the climate's very, very different now than what it was 10 years ago. But, I love cabaret. Doing it in Los Angeles, where the audiences are so, they're so savvy and so theater savvy, and those are my people. And so, to get to do it in cabaret rooms, in LA and New York is like, to me, just... It's the ultimate, perfect experience of performing, because it's just so much fun and the energy's so ridiculously through the roof. to me, you do these places, and then in mid-America, where cabaret is not particularly thriving in a lot of cities, you take the reviews that you get from New York and L.A., and then you go to small concert halls, and you do it around the country. And there's a lot of series, and there's a lot of theaters that I perform at, 500 to 1,000 seat theaters and things like that. And that's where you actually can make some money, is in the middle of the country, because God knows we don't make millions doing cabaret.
No.
I'm getting from. So I'm getting in the car right now with my fellows. But Los Angeles has become a surprisingly very big cabaret city all of a sudden. All these new rooms are popping up. And so it's great to see. Unfortunately, they fired the cabaret jazz critic from the LA Times, as everything is downsizing now, so there's not lots of support, journalistic wise. So that's not helpful. But there's quite a thriving community right now in LA. So, not quite rival New York yet, but it's getting better.
Getting there, and of course you're helping. But do you have any idea why? Is it just a cyclical thing? Is it that there are more actors there who sing, and so when they're not, trying to get a TV series, they're what? Yeah. Is that it? Is that why?
Yeah, it's a huge thing, because there's so many people that come to LA from New York for periods of time, and weeks go by in LA where you do nothing. It can be a wasteland sometimes. So these places, they have this Upright Cabaret in Los Angeles and Bar Vermont, and some of these places, they've got a bunch of really great Broadway singers out there who just want to be out there performing. And Jim Caruso comes out there and does the cat party, and it's packed. It's always a huge event. And okay, I just was told we're going to lose a signal at some point.
Okay.
So if you lose me, it's only because of the signal, not because of mine.
We just did. Jason. Oh no, you're back. There you are.
Am I back?
Yeah. Oh, that was quick. Yeah. We only lost you briefly. We're talking with Jason Graae in a car in upstate New York. Everybody make sure to see him, though, when he's in regular New York in the days ahead, playing at the Laurie Beachman at the West Bank Cafe is actually the name of the place, 407 West 42nd Street. That's right around 9th and 10th Avenue. He's doing 2 more shows until October 25th, A Perfect Harmony. Jason, are you there, or are you lost for good? Jason? Okay, well, it has been a pleasure. He did warn us. Jason Graae, whoops, stop that. Okay, there we go. Jason Graae, Perfect Harmony. Let's hear a bit more of Jason saluting Jerry Herman the best way he knows how, by singing his great songs.
It only takes a moment for your eyes to meet, and then your heart knows in a moment you will never be alone again. I held her for an instant, but my arms felt sure and strong. It only takes a moment to be loved a whole life long. Loving you is snow and jasmine and the noise of New Year's Eve. Loving you is now and yesterday is real and make-believe. Loving and New Orleans, and gazing at the lazy summer skies. Fireworks reflecting in your eyes, foolish and improbable and wise, and loving you is tart as lemonade and sweet as April wine. Loving you is watching all the lovely things of life combined. In your arms, I'm all I wish I were. I'm brave, I'm strong, and I'm true. As long as I can go on living, loving you. And that is all that love's about, and will recall when time runs out, that it only took a moment to be loved.
A bit of Jason Graae there. It only takes a moment, and loving you here on Dave's Gone By. We have Jason back. I don't know if he would be able to call back, but he has, and he is here with us for a little while longer before he goes into another tunnel, as it were. So, Jason, welcome back. First of all, before we lose you again, yes, you were in an off-Broadway show called Olympus on My Mind, a very delightful show, and I was involved backstage with stuff like that. Well, what were you remembering? That show was protested?
Yeah, by the, because it was at the Lambs Theater, and there was there were Nazarene, people of the Nazarene faith would live there. It was kind of like a boarding house for Nazarenes or something.
Yeah.
And outside the theater was the New York Times quote, which said, "Naughty musical comedy fun." The New York Times. And they were so upset by the word naughty outside their boarding house and church that they would sit outside and pray for the show to close.
Oh, good. I don't remember that at all. And I was walking in and out of that theater that's so bizarre. And
see, isn't that funny? See, so we all don't remember certain things, do we, Dave?
Okay, fair enough. And actually, people got their revenge, because after that, Bo Jest was there for a long time. The show about the Jewish girl with a non-Jewish boyfriend, and
that's right.
We got those Nazarenes back. Although I think they have their theater back, because the Lambs hasn't been the Lambs for a while. Oh well.
It's not a theater anymore, right?
I don't think so. I don't know what they would have done with that space. They probably just have church services or something. I don't know. Oh well.
Well, their prayers worked, because Olympus on My Mind did close. Of course, it ran almost a year, so it had a good run, but.
Yeah, very good, right? Well,
I think God closed it.
Well, didn't it move? It went from the Actors Playhouse. Oh, that's why I don't remember it. I was with it at the Actors Playhouse.
Oh, okay. That was right on 28th Street.
Exactly. And then it moved, and I didn't. Yeah. Oh, see.
That's right, because we thought it was like a flop at the Actors Playhouse. We thought, oh no, this is going to be horrible, and everybody, it started out kind of slow, and then it got these great reviews, and then we moved it up to the Lambs Theater.
There you go.
I don't think any Nazarenes came to the Actors Playhouse.
I doubt that very highly. Although, it's kind of interesting, kind of cool. I mean, Ron Raines is now on Broadway in Follies, which I'm going to be talking about in just a couple of minutes. Yeah, so
He played my father in Olympus on My Mind, and I just say he's one of my dearest friends, and I went and saw him in the show the other night, and I loved it. Loved him. It was fabulous.
Yeah, I agree. It was a really, really great revival. And I'm wondering, are you in touch with any of the other Olympus people? Emily Zacharias, is she doing okay? Have you heard from her?
Emily's doing great, and I know she just played the mother in 9 out at the Westchester Broadway Theater, I think, last year, and I love her. And Faith Prince and I pop up. We run into each other from time to time in the concert world. We taught at the Yale Cabaret Conference last year and did our shows up there. And Marty Vidnovic and I keep in touch on Facebook. He let everybody know that he was having a colonoscopy on his Facebook page. It's beautiful.
Were there pictures, or was it just words?
He put pictures up, but then he took them down immediately. Unfortunately, I saw them.
You're kidding. He really did. I was joking. He put pictures of his colonoscopy up?
Mm-hmm. They lasted for like a day, and then he got rid of them. Close to him. I know. Well, he just has a lot of love to share inside and out.
He's certainly... Whoa. Well, that's... I would say I'm sorry I missed that, but oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm not. But that was kind of funny. And I keep in touch with Grant Sturriali and Barry Harmon, who wrote it, who I loved, and Barry directed it. So we still in touch thanks to Facebook, So that's been a great thing.
Do you still try out for Broadway musicals? Do you do that? Do you audition?
Yeah, although it's not as easy as it was when I lived here, because most anything I got on Broadway was because I did a reading of it, which then went on, or did a workshop, or did demo tapes. I got in on the ground floor. It was very rare that I went and auditioned for a show that was all ready to go to Broadway that I got. So in LA, you're not around for that kind of stuff. Like at the ground floor of the show. So I would love to come back here and sit in the show for a while. It would be a ball. So I'm hoping there's some of that in my future.
Oh, well, I hope so too, for all our sakes, and that it's long enough for me to come back from Colorado and come see you in New York, unless, of course, you bring your cabaret performances to Colorado. Hint, hint, that would be really, really nice to do.
I'd love it. It's hard to sing there, though. You get so out of breath. Liz Calloway and I came to Lake Dillon. Is that what it's called? Lake Dillon, outside Boulder, I believe, and they have a theater company there, and we did a fundraiser about 5 years ago and had a ball. It was great fun. And that's the only time I performed there. I did falsettos of the national tour. We were in Denver.
Oh, wow.
It was really, really fun. Yeah.
I can see you in falsetto.
I would love to come there. If you have any ideas, let me know, Dave.
You betcha. We're talking with great Jason Graae, and I guess the other usual question to ask is, now that you're doing Perfect Harmony and bringing that around, but what's next on your plate, as it were?
Well, let's see. I'll go back to LA next week, and then I'm emceeing some big cancer benefit at the Beverly Hilton in November, which is going to be always fun. Thank God for cancer. It's really given me some great work. And then I'm going to do... what are we listening to? Then we're going to go to...
Wait a minute. You have to understand, Jason is this most... As I keep saying, this charming, plucky, puckish fellow. He was actually the voice of the Lucky Charms leprechaun for a few years, and so you don't expect him to come out with a joke like me. You would. Me, people go, oh, that's Dave. Oh, he's horrible. He's an evil person. But Jason Graae makes a joke about cancer. It just comes completely out of left field. Shame on you. But thank you.
I know, forgive me. You've got to laugh sometime or you commit suicide. So, one tries to have some levity. It's been a tough year. I've had actually a lot of friends who have been stricken with it this year, and it's been a very difficult year. So,
I'm sorry.
You gotta laugh sometimes, right?
Well, yeah, no, I'm sorry. And it's funny. People I know too have had a tough year health-wise. We ran into a person that we knew a couple of years ago, and we were having breakfast, and we saw her, and her hair was really surprisingly short and different. And we was like, it's an interesting haircut, and she was, no, well, it's chemotherapy. I was like, oh, boy,
Yeah. A very friend of mine just went through it, and they have now this thing where they do this whole ice pack thing where they're for like you put it on the day of the chemo, and it keeps the hair follicles, from expanding. And she has kept all her hair, and she's been through 3 chemo treatments, and she only has 1 to go. So it's kind of like this new miracle therapy.
Hey, well, good luck. And are you healthy? Are you fine? Everything's good?
So far, so good. Knocking on wood, Dave.
That's what it's all about. That's good to hear.
You too, right? You're feeling good?
Yeah, thank God. Just the usual. I get up in the morning. If I'm still breathing, I feel good. There you go. No, thank God. I'm fine. I'm fine. So we are heading towards...
It's good to talk to you.
It is, man. Great to talk to you, Jason. We are heading towards a happy ending. Hint, hint. Lets you know the song I'm about to play. So everybody, again, one more time, Jason Graae. Get his new album, Perfect Harmony, from Kritzerland.com. Also, everybody check out jasongraae.com, Graae, jasongraae.com. And everybody go see him at the Laurie Beachman Theater up until October 25th. Jason, it's been a joy, as I knew it would be. Thank you. Best of luck. I guess that's about it, isn't it? Say something horrible.
Dave, I can't. It's so I've missed you so through the years, and I'm glad to finally talk to you again.
Likewise, man. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, man.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks, Dave.
Bye-bye.
I promise you a happy ending, like the ones that you see on the screen. So if you've had a bad beginning, love will come out winning in the closing scene. And if you find it rough contending with the grind that the world puts us through, I can promise you a happy ending that has you loving me, loving you. And if you find it rough contending with the grind that the world puts us through, I can promise you a happy ending that has you loving me, loving you.
Hey, up there, way up there, what do you say up there? I see it all. It's like a movie in my head that plays and plays. It's not just the bad things I remember. It's the whole show. Waiting around for the girls upstairs after the curtain came down. Money in my pocket to spend. Honey, could you maybe get a friend for my friend?
Hearing the sound of the girls above, dressing to go on the town.
Clicking heels on steel and cement.
Picking up the giggles floating down through the vent. Goddamnedest hours that I ever spent were waiting for the girls upstairs.
Hey, up there,
way up there, what do you say up there? That's where the keys hung, and that's where you picked up your mail.
I remember. Me and Ben, we come around at 10. Me and Ben and hang around the wings, watching things with, what the hell was his name, you know, the old guy? Max, I remember. Anyway, there we'd stay until the curtain fell. And when the curtain fell, then all hell broke. Girls on the run and scenery flying, doors slamming left and right.
Girls in their undies blushing but trying not to duck out of sight. Girls by the hundreds waving and crying, see you tomorrow night. Girls looking frazzled and girls looking great. Girls in a frenzy to get to a date. Girls like a madhouse and two of them late. And who had to wait and wait and wait.
There are people, a lot of people who couldn't wait for a good revival of the Broadway musical Follies to come on back to Broadway. And, well, we waited long enough, and it finally happened. See, there was a revival only about 5 years ago or so of Follies on Broadway, and it just didn't happen. It was ugly to look at, and you just couldn't really get into the characters, and it didn't gel, and it was kind of boring. And so it felt like a real missed opportunity for one of the classic Stephen Sondheim scores, and potentially really good overall shows to make a statement, because the original one was quite a few years ago, and even that was, I wouldn't say controversial, but it had its detractors and it had its proponents, and there are problems with the show that it still has, but to finally get another look at any Stephen Sondheim show pretty much is an important thing. So when they blew the opportunity a few years ago and they announced, we're going to try it again. And so now there is a new Follies on Broadway. It opened at the Marquis Theater a couple of weeks ago, and it's scheduled to play until January. In fact, it's in the news just this week. Michael Riegel wrote about it in the New York Post, saying that it's turned into something of a minor hit. It's grossing about $1 million a week, which is a little better than they expected it to do, and everybody's thrilled, and they want to extend. The only problem is they can't, because they need the theater. It has to close to make room for the revival of Evita that is coming in. So it's a happy position for producers and the actors to be in, that the show is a hit enough that they would love to keep it running, and they can't. So now they're looking for another theater to put it in, and I hope they find one, because this is a really exceptionally good show. The thing about Follies, and that fills so many Stephen Sondheim musicals and scores, is that they are about regret, the choices that you make in life. When you get to that fork in the road, where do you go? Do you go left or right? And there's always the sense of, well, I took this road, okay, but what if I didn't? What am I missing? That sense of ambivalence of course, in company. I'm married. Should I have gotten married? Should I have not gotten married? Should I stay single? Should I not? No matter where you are, there's always that dichotomy of where you could have been and the choice not chosen. And that's certainly in evidence in Follies. And it's very boldly stated here. I mean, you have people who are married. You've got Sally and Buddy, who she obviously, he is not her first choice. He's a great guy. He's doing very, very well, very successful, but she just never really loved him, and she's always been in love with Ben, who is, I guess the handsomer dude and got all the girls, and he's married to a very glamorous wife, and they're not happy either. They live very, very well. They're rich. They're at the parties. They go to all the right places and know all the right people, but he's stooping around. She's tired of him. Nobody's happy where they are in Follies, and the question throughout the show, the whole plot of the show is anybody going to make a change, or are they just going to settle into their patterns, presumably for the rest of their life? And that's kind of the whole deal with Follies. It feels epic in a way, and yet it's really a microcosm. It's for people and their miserable lives and marriages and the roads they could have and did not take. And of course, the lyrics are extraordinary, and it's some of Stephen Sondheim's best songs, his most beautiful music. It's not my favorite Sondheim show. I mean, I don't think it's a patch on Sweeney Todd, let alone West Side Story and those kinds of shows, but or Sunday in the Park or Company. But at the same time, it really needed this kind of great restaging to show us, oh yeah, this is an important show. It is a terrific show. Does it still have certain problems? Yeah, there's this thing where the whole first act is introducing us to these characters and where they are in their marital relationships and relationships with each other. And then early in the second act, it kind of stops. There's no real place for them to go. They've come to a crisis point. Is this character going to leave that one or realize that that's not going to happen? So we're brought to that point, and it's a dramatic thing. And then most of the second act is taken up with not any further plot development. It's sort of yes or no, and then in the last 3 minutes we find out yes or no. And in between they have the Loveland sequence. And, on one level, it's great. You have 5 or 6 Stephen Sondheim songs in a row. What could be bad? At the same time, most of them are not pushing the plot forward. So we're kind of sitting there going, well, it's a good song, but, something else should be happening. Or sometimes the songs will already repeat things that we already know about a particular character. For example, Buddy will have sung a song earlier in the first act where we get it. Okay, he loves his wife. She doesn't really love him. And even though he loves her, their marriage is kind of vacant and empty, so he's sleeping with these other people and he has a mistress. So he's got a marvelous song about it. So in the second act, he comes back and sings Buddy's Blues. Another good song, but it's not telling us anything about him that we don't already know. The one song that really does galvanize the second act is, of course, the song for Sally, who's just about, she's really on the edge of the cliff, as it were. And she sings Losing My Mind, one of the great later-era Torch songs. And at least that pushes her character forward a little bit more. It doesn't just tell us what we know. We also learn that she's a little bit out of reality. She's kind of losing it and borderline going literally out of her mind. Great, great song, and it's very, very well done by Bernadette Peters. Although the big star, the big find of this revival of Follies, not that this is a surprise, is Jan Maxwell. She has turned into a bona fide Broadway star, and as Ben Stone's wife, I'm forgetting the character's name, she has a couple of songs, and she knocks one of them out of the park. I wish I had the CD to play for you. I don't think it's been recorded yet. But boy, oh boy. The thing about this Follies is a lot of the times the songs that have become famous through the cast album originally and through cabaret and just through part of the American songbook now, these are not the best versions you're going to hear. They're not the most exciting or the most powerful. I mean, we have I'm Still Here, one of the classic songs of modern musical theater, and it's a very good version done in this Follies, but it's not going to make you forget Elaine Stritch doing it or the original. But so many of the songs in this Follies fit into the context. It's giving us a mood and a picture and showing us these characters, so the show works as a whole, which is the most important thing. And but still, Chan Maxwell is an incredible standout. She tears the roof off the place, literally, with the song Leave You. Great, great song. I mean, I sat through Follies, and I could have sat there in the theater and said, play it again. I'll just stay here all night. I'll watch it over again. That's the kind of show that is. If I were on Broadway working as an usher, not that anyone would hire me to act, but if ushers get to see shows for free and they're paid for it, this is the one show I would come back to, every night. Most of the time what happens is they have to stay through the whole show once, and then they get to go through the first act and the intermission, and then they can leave. This is the show that I wouldn't mind doing that 7 or 8 times a week. Follies. You should know, Follies fans, that yes, there's the original truncated cast recording that is out there. There's also the New Jersey Paper Mill version, which is my favorite, that I just played a clip from before the segment. And then, right in a week or so, Sony Masterworks Broadway is re-releasing the 1985 legendary Follies in Concert recording. That's the one with Barbara Cook and George Hearn and Mandy Patinkin. I have to say, the audience is going berserk in it, and there's some great stuff in it. For me, I prefer the Paper Mill version, just for the story of it. But if you want to hear an audience that is enraptured and in love with this show and with Sondheim and the performers up there, you want to check this out. Sony Masterworks Broadway re-releasing the 1985 Follies. Oh, and go figure, I have a track from that. This, let's see where we have it. Okay. This is Don't Look at Me from Follies with Barbara Cook.
It's me. Now, folks, we bring you direct from Phoenix Live and in person Sally Durant. Here she is at last, twinkle in her eye, hot off the press, strictly a mess, nevertheless. Hi, Ben. No, don't look at me, please, not just yet. Why am I here? This is crazy. No, don't look at me. I know that face, you're trying to place the name. Say something, Ben, anything. No, don't talk to me, Ben. I forget, what were we like? It's so hazy. Look at these people, aren't they eerie? Look at this party, isn't it dreary? I'm so glad I came.
Can I look now? Yes, it's possible. You might be Sally. Did you fall asleep at Toscanini broadcasts? Did you eat Baby Ruths for breakfast?
I still do sometimes. Oh, Ben, you're just the way I knew you'd be. You make me feel like I was 19 and the four of us were going out on the town. So, just look at us, fat,
turning gray,
still
playing games, acting crazy.
Isn't it awful?
God, how depressing.
Me,
I'm 100, you're a blessing. I'm so glad I came. What we need is a drink.
What you need is tickets to see Follies on Broadway at the Marquis Theater. It's just, it's a terrific show and highly, highly recommended. 3.5 stars from me here on Inside Broadway on Dave's Gone By. I also wanted to mention another show that I saw while I was in town. A real sleeper. I caught it only because they were doing a 10:30 in the evening Friday show. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had time to fit it in my schedule. So I went over to Intar, which is this small theater on West 52nd Street, like way west, over towards 11th Avenue. Not really expecting much, but just figuring, hey, it's a late show. I have time to do it. And a show featuring Carlo Alban. It's a solo piece directed by David Anzuelo, and it has to do with Alban's life coming from Ecuador as an immigrant, as a child, with his family. Only the immigration wasn't exactly legal, so his family ended up getting forged papers and going to places and getting the documents that they needed, wink, wink, while spending the next bunch of years trying to become naturalized and actual American citizens. And I wasn't really, as I say, I thought, okay, so one person, it's very, very good. He not only tells his story, he tells it through the characters, the people that he knew, like when working as a window washer on buildings, also doing some of his family members. The characterizations are very believable, and they're well phrased and interesting. And the other interesting part of Carlo Alban's story is that he was really hiding in plain sight to the point where he was cast on Sesame Street, and he had a role on there for years. He was one of the child actors with all the Muppets, and they had no idea. He had forged papers. No idea that this kid who represented the American dream was actually here, not with true legitimate American papers. And so I would really recommend this show, especially for people who don't know where they are on this whole side of immigration. Do we forgive people who came over? Do we make it easy for them to naturalize? There are people who... what do we have just a week ago? I think it was Herman Cain, or was it Perry? One of them was saying, well, what we do is we build a fence and we electrify it. And that's how we keep the image. He was joking, or I guess he was forced to say he was joking when people started to say, how could you say that? So, yeah, I mean, as a person who finds it difficult to find work at my age in this country, in this town, I can say, well, why are these people who come over to these shores taking all these jobs? Are they jobs I would take? I doubt it. I don't know. And one of the important points that Carlo Alban makes in this show, called Intringulis, is that they do pay taxes. The whole thing that everybody says is, well, they come here and they get everything that we give them, and they get to partake in the wonders of American society, and they never pay taxes. And that is apparently not at all true. They pay taxes just like the rest of us, and not just sales tax, of course, but I think they file. They have to. If your papers are forged, they are papers. You are showing them to get work. So that's kind of a lie that's been told. And also, I remember... a former friend of mine married a woman who was from another country. She was from Russia. And bringing her over was a headache and a half, and dealing with immigration. And that has not changed. If anything, it's just gotten more corrupt and worse. And these people, this guy's family, over the years, ended up paying, tens of thousands of dollars. I think it was like $40,000, most of it in bribery, just to get their name pushed to the top of the pile so that they could be seen and actually get their real green cards. It's one thing if we can say, hey, they're here illegally, it's not right, send them back or naturalize them. It's quite another to take advantage of people from wherever they are, whatever the circumstance is, just to line the pockets of some lawyers and judges. I mean, that's just wrong no matter what. But... anyway, the show is called Intringulis. It's been extended again. It's now playing through October 30th at Intar. There's music in it. Alban sings some songs by legendary Latin American songwriters like Victor Jara and Atahualpa Yupanqui. The songs are fine. He's a pretty okay singer, pretty good guitarist, actually. Didn't really need all of those songs, and also there is some confusion in the show in the storytelling. Sometimes we'll think that he's talking about himself when he's a child, and then suddenly we'll realize, oh no, he must have been in his late teens by then. So he should kind of in my opinion, finesse the storytelling a little bit. It could be cut a little bit too, but I wouldn't touch the set design. It's marvelous. Very simple, like these black squares, and he writes in chalk on them when he's demonstrating some stuff, and there's some terrific pictures and projections. It's really well staged that way in the design. And so, yeah, if you're in New York, now through October 30th, go to Intar and see Intringulis with Carlo Alban. Very recommended inside, well, it's off, or maybe even off Broadway, but here on Inside Broadway on Dave's Gone By. Well, speaking of the fact that I was in New York, one of the funny things is that for all the time I was there, I never saw the Occupy Wall Street protest. I was there for almost a week, and it was almost right near me. I would go to a Broadway show. I would come out on like 8th Avenue, and then I would be told, well, it's a good thing you didn't go up 7th Avenue because the protesters were all there, and the cops were arresting people. I was 1 block away. Absolutely oblivious to it. In fact, the closest I got was I was walking up 10th Avenue from one show to another, and then I saw all these people, these mass of young people, and a lot of them in weird, funny costumes, and I was like, oh, well, I guess these are the Occupy Wall Street people. No, it turned out they were coming from Comic-Con down at the Javits Center. So I'm really, apolitical as I am, and it's just kind of funny that there I was in the heart of this major protest that has been spreading and has some legitimacy to it, and barely saw a moment of it, except on the internet and on the news. Oh well, at least I didn't get arrested. But I have my thoughts about the whole Occupy Wall Street thing. Someone else who does is our guest in the neighborhood now. He's been on shows ever since our very first episode back in 2002. He's back from the Jewish holidays and celebrating those. Here in the neighborhood, always happy to have the one and only Rabbi Sal Solomon offering his rabbinical reflection of the week, Occupied. Shalom, damn it! This is Rabbi Sal Solomon with a rabbinical reflection for the week of October 23rd, 2011. So, all these people without an occupation are busy occupying. They're occupying Wall Street, they're inhabiting Zuccotti Park, they're occupying cities and colleges across America because the have-nots are getting a bissel sick and tired of the haves. It was ever thus, people. Before we were all born, a handful of upper-class hoity-toities looked down on the rest of us. If they were in a generous and tax-deductible mood, they donated a library or slipped a few bucks to charity. Everyone hates the rich because they're rich, and we're not. Life sucks, then you die. But now we have a growing segment of the population who are fed up with the status quo and think they can change it by showing up somewhere and not leaving. Hey, it beats violence, and protests certainly did have an impact on the Vietnam War, racial segregation, and the rollout of new Coke. Still, I am bothered by 2 aspects of this Occupy Somewhere movement. The first is the and then what factor. Okay, so you shout at the rich, you rail at the corporations, you run the CEOs out of town on a rail. Well, more likely a Lear jet. And then what? What do you replace them with? If the protesters are saying, make college affordable, or at least make it so I'm not paying off my student loan with my Medicare and reverse mortgage, okay. If the protesters are saying, change the tax code, fine, I'm all for it. Tax the rich until they're poor, tax the poor until they're dead, and give the middle class a break for once. If the protesters are saying, don't let stockbrokers, bankers, and corporate bigwigs get away with rampant fraud, I am for that too. Let them get away with just enough fraud so that they keep jobs in America instead of farming them out to Uttar Pradesh. The problem is, we don't know what the protesters are saying, except we can't get jobs, the jobs we get don't pay anything, and the pay we get goes to buy imported crap because we don't make anything. Republicans and social conservatives keep wanting to liken the occupiers to Soviet communists. Well, guess what? Those old Russians were rebelling against the gentry and landowners who controlled everything and gave nothing back. Sound familiar? Communism didn't happen because the poor wanted to give Fox News talking points. It happened because the peasants found it unpleasant watching the czars eat pheasant. These hippies and Democrats and college kids and ukulele players, they don't care about words like Marxism or capitalism. They just want their piece of the pie. And they're not blind. They know that out of 10 slices, 9 have been gobbled up before the pizza even gets delivered. So, if you ask where my sympathy lies, it is with these demonstrators, even if the only thing they're demonstrating is how easy it is to get really grimy after 3 days sleeping in a park. What I do take issue with is the whole theme of the protest, occupying. The organizers took their motif from the so-called Arab Spring. You know, where young Arabs got tired of their corrupt totalitarian leaders, so they staged relatively peaceful rebellions that will ultimately bring in corrupt fundamentalist Muslim leaders. Anytime you look to the Arabs for a moral compass, you're pretty much going to float into an iceberg. The anti-Semitic undertones of the movement are very minor, but they are there. From the usual grievance that Jews comprise the evil 1% oppressing the other 99, to the idea of that loaded word, occupation. Even though the protesters are themselves the occupiers, you can bet many of them are weeping for the Palestinians supposedly displaced from the sliver of Israeli land they absolutely have to live on. And yet, there is a positive impulse here, and I hope President Obama and whatever clown the Republicans pull out of their sidecar, I hope they listen to these rebels and take to heart the idea that American wealth, enterprise, and future security have been stolen by a handful of families and corporations. When everybody gets to eat, but some people eat a lot better, so it goes. That's the world. When people are starving and Marie Antoinette is still eating cake, that's when the knives come out. Or, worse, in this case, the bongs and bongos. This has been a rabbinical reflection from Rabbi Sal Solomon, Temple Sons of Bitches.
Welcome to the occupation.
Well, thank you, Rabbi Sal. Always an interesting pleasure to have Rabbi Sal weighing in with his rabbinical reflections on Days Gone By. I wanted to let you know and remind you that Rabbi Sal will be doing his live one-man show. Actually, there's 2 people in it because there's a pianist as well. But he's going to be doing the show Shalom Dammit, an evening with Rabbi Sal Solomon, Monday and Tuesday, November 21st and 22nd. Those are the Monday and Tuesday of Thanksgiving week. 7 o'clock at the Norton Theater on the campus of UNC. I think tickets are actually free because it's connected to the One Act Festival on campus here. But it's a full-length show. It's I think, about 2 hours and 20 minutes. And it's the Rabbi... Imagine rabbinical reflections times 10 plus music, songs, weird, crazy songs that only the Rabbi can produce. So yeah, Rabbi Sal Solomon, mark your calendar on Thanksgiving week. That's the... You'll be thankful when it's over. Shalom Dammit at the Norton Theater, November 21st and 22nd. Do not miss it. And also find out more about Rabbi Sal at his website, shalomdammit.com. That's where you can read these rabbinical reflections, or click on the YouTube clip so you can hear them that way. All sorts of cool stuff from the Rabbi at shalomdammit.com. Reminding you also that davesgoneby.com is very much around and back with a redesign, so you can click and hear all our old shows. Nearly every show we ever did is on there, absolutely free. You can either download them as podcasts and listen on your iTunes, or just stream them directly on your computer. davesgoneby.com. And we're finally, hopefully, this weekend, going to put up some of the recent shows. Because of the website redesign, I wasn't able to put up the show with Rita Gardner and with Bonnie Franklin, all these wonderful guests we've had these past couple of weeks that, I wasn't able to share the archives. Well, now, finally, we're going to, so just keep it peeled in like the next 48 or 72 hours, and check out davesgoneby.com. Also, want to remind you to check out TotalTheater.com for theater reviews and theater articles, and PerformingArtsInsider.com for really inside information about Broadway and off-Broadway theater and all the things that are going on the stages of New York. Speaking of stages and stuff, before we have to leave here, I do want to give shout-outs to friends of the neighborhood. Those are people who have been on the show at a certain point, because once you're in the neighborhood, as Jason Graae found out, and once you remember that you've been in the neighborhood, you're always kind of family. Before anything else, I also want to wish a refuah shlema to my Aunt Esther. Esther, cannot believe this. She was bitten by a dog this past week. I mean, a big-ass, bad dog, a mastiff. Wasn't a pit bull, but I guess mastiffs are pretty bad. They're the Cujo dogs, and this dog just saw the little dog that she had and, took a run at it. My Aunt Esther scooped the dog in her arms, and the mastiff decided to take a huge, nice bite out of her hand. She was in the hospital for 3 days. Thank God she's home now and getting better. There's going to be some stitches, and, Esther, hire a damn good lawyer. That's what you need. You need a lawyer who is the equivalent of the mastiff that bit you, and I hope you get one, and I hope you get well very, very soon. Speaking of full recoveries, Chris Lemon, by the way, if you remember, he was our guest a couple of weeks ago in the neighborhood. He's Jack Lemon's biological son, and he was very close with his father. And he was going to be doing that cabaret show the day we were talking to him in New York. And then he had a kind of a medical emergency and had to reschedule his show, A Twist of Lemon. But it took place. It was done on October 14th at the Metropolitan Room. So congratulations to Chris for that, and I hope it went very, very well. Let's see, other people who have been in the neighborhood. Carrie Hoffman, still doing My Sinatra at the Ha Comedy Club in New York. This week, Karen Kunrad started directing Love's Labor's Lost at the Public Theater in a lab production in New York. Kunrad, one of our earlier guests, she was here back in January of 2003. Love's Labor's Lost is running at the Public from October 18th through November 6th. Christine Petty is going into Miss Abigail's Guide to Dating, Mating, and Marriage at Sophia's on West 46th Street. That was the show. Joyce DeWitt was in it, and before that, one of the Brady Bunch people opened the show. Christine Petty goes in October 29th, and she'll be with it for a little while. So yay for her. Linda Lavin, gotta remind you, not only is her CD out, what is it called? It's, Hey, Look Me Over, You've Got Possibilities on Shkaboom Records. So, yeah, it's a Ghostlight subsidiary. It's out on Ghostlight now, and then November 29th it goes into stores like Amazon and places like that. So start looking for it now. Linda Lavin's new CD, and be sure to catch Linda Lavin in Nikki Silver's play The Lions, off-Broadway at the Vineyard Theater. It got really good reviews and just got extended. Best Nikki Silver play in years, apparently. I wish I could have seen it when I was in town. Anyway, see her, Linda Lavin, in The Lions at the Vineyard. Let's see, other people who I have to talk about. This is all November. I guess I'll save that for November stuff. Just reminding you that Jim Caruso's Cast Party plays Monday nights at Birdland, and everybody subscribe to drdemento.com and visit Alan Scherstuhl's column Studies in Crap. I mean, you can Google that to find out how. Well, unfortunately, the time, it goes. It is already 1 o'clock here at the University of Northern Colorado in Greeley, Colorado. A check of the weather lets you know that this is another beautiful day, and we've got 2 more of them. Sunday and Monday, temperature's going to go into the mid-70s, and not that cold at night. Won't go down to freezing, but then we start getting a serious cold front on Tuesday. It'll still make it up to the 50s, but then the low in the 20s, and Wednesday is the first day in forever, except for a rainstorm here and there, where the weather's really going to suck. We're probably going to get snow showers, and the high temperature will only reach 36 degrees, going to go down into the teens. So let's hope the snow shower is just that, just a shower. And then the temperatures start to climb back up towards the 40s and 50s later in the week. So you just have to get through that Tuesday and Wednesday nastiness that we're going to have, and you'll be fine. But for the weekend, enjoy it. Sunshine, fabulous weather, mid-70s. Do enjoy it here in Greeley. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. You've been listening to Dave's Gone By. Again, check out davesgoneby.com for lots of information about the program. Check our MySpace page for the playlist of songs you've heard on today's show. And as I said, we're going to try and get this episode up, along with other recent ones, on our website in the archives at davesgoneby.com. Well, it has been really a joy being with you, being back on the air after these couple of weeks' vacation. As I scan my notes just to make sure I've covered everything, well, the one thing I did not get to was saying goodbye to another musician we lost this week. I know we lost Bert Jansch and talked about that. We lost him about 2-3 weeks ago. We also lost Jagjit Singh, a master of Indian ghazal music. Now, ghazals are song poems about love and separation. They're kind of like sad sonnets that Jagjit puts to music. And for many, many years, he also sang with his wife, Chitra, and they make really terrific records together in India. He was really the most best-selling Indian music artist outside film music in that country. What happened was he and Chitra, were still together, but they would sing together, and in, when was it, 1990, they lost their son, Vivek, in a car accident. And after that, Chitra refused to sing. She retired from the limelight and public life, but Jagjit Singh was still doing concerts. And in fact, he was performing pretty recently. I got to see him in New Jersey a few years back. Very long concert, but really wonderful to be there, and great to hear him and see him doing his non-traditional-ish but semi-classical Indian type of music. I wish I had time to play more of his stuff, but we've got to end the show. This is my favorite song of his. This is the one that you got to sing to and clap to. You got to bounce around to it. It's just so catchy and lively. I don't even know if I can say the title of it, but we're going to leave the neighborhood for this week. We're going to be back next Saturday, hopefully with a really, really cool special guest. I think we've got 1 or 2 people lined up. That'll be, I think it's actually November 1st. So we will open November with another Dave's Gone By, Saturday, 10 o'clock in the morning till 1 in the afternoon, Mountain Time, on uncradio.com. It just remains for me to thank a few people. Beck Lee of Blitz Media and Susan L. Schulman for their help in putting together the interviews on this program, and the interviewees themselves, Jason Graae, who is going to be doing a couple more shows at the West Bank Cafes, isn't it? Let me find it. I'm going to get it right. It is the West Bank Cafe in the Laurie Beachman Theater on West 42nd Street through October 25th. And, of course, Barb Jungr. Make sure to see her at the Metropolitan Room through October 29th. And to go visit both of their websites. Thank you also to my lovely and adorable and wonderful wife, Joyce Weil, and to General Manager Sam Wood of the radio station. I saw him for about 3 seconds, but we got to wave at each other, and sometimes that's enough. What? I hope I put that right. Anyway, thank you to all the folks who helped me get this show on the air, and to all the fine folks out there who are listening. Let us go out with Sarakti Jai Hain... Oh, I've already blown it. Wait. Sarakti Jai Hain Ruchse Nakav Ahista Ahista. Those are the only 2 words you really need to know for this song. This is Ahista Jagjit Singh. And Gone By.
सरकती जाए सरकती 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 जाए है रुख से नकाब आहिस्ता आहिस्ता सरकती जाए है रुख से नकाब आहिस्ता आहिस्ता निकलता रहा है आफताब आहिस्ता आहिस्ता सरकती जाए है रुख से नकाब आहिस्ता आहिस्ता जवाने लगे जब वो तो हमसे कर लिया पर्दा जवाने जवाने लगे जब वो तो हमसे कर लिया पर्दा हया यकलख्त आई और शबाब आहिस्ता आहिस्ता चंद नए शेर पेश कर रहा हूं सवाले वस्ल पर उनको उदू का खौफ है इतना खौफ है इतना खौफ है इतना खौफ है इतना सवाले वस्ल पर उनको उदू का खौफ है इतना दबे होठों से देते हैं जवाब आहिस्ता आहिस्ता दबे होठों से देते हैं जवाब आहिस्ता आहिस्ता फर्क है इतना हमारे और तुम्हारे प्यार में, बस फर्क है इतना, इधर तो जल्दी जल्दी है, उधर आहिस्ता, इधर तो जल्दी जल्दी है, उधर आहिस्ता आहिस्ता।
मुकर्रर पे मुझे एक लतीफा याद आ गया है। इसी तरह एक गाना चल रहा था कहीं पे, तो एक शेर पे मुकर्रर की आवाज आई, तो वो शेर दोबारा पढ़ दिया गया। उसके बाद फिर मुकर्रर की आवाज आई, तो गाने वाले ने फिर दोबारा शेर पढ़ा। उसके बाद फिर मुकर्रर की आवाज आई, तो गाने वाले ने तीसरी दफा फिर पढ़ा, लेकिन फिर मुकर्रर की आवाज आई, तो गाने वाला बोलता है कि साहब मुझे अगला शेर भी पढ़ने दीजिए अभी। तो ऑडियंस में से आवाज आती है कि जब तक आप इसको सुर में नहीं पढ़ेंगे हम मुकर्रर ही बोलते रहेंगे।
बस फर्क है इतना, इधर तो जल्दी जल्दी है, उधर आहिस्ता आहिस्ता। सर काटे अमीर और मैं कहूँ उनसे वो बेदर्दी 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 सर काटे अमीर और मैं कहूँ उनसे हुजूर हुजूर आहिस्ता आहिस्ता जनाब आहिस्ता आहिस्ता हुजूर आहिस्ता आहिस्ता जनाब आहिस्ता आहिस्ता। सरकती जाए है रुख से नकाब